Hello, shooters, loaders, and casters. Welcome to the Georgia Shooting Connection Friday night live stream. We got a special guest, Mr. Tactical Fudd, is with us tonight, and we have the usual list of suspects. Kyle, do that thing you do.
Good Friday evening, everybody. Welcome aboard. I'm a little laid up with some stomach bugs and my back's killing me, but other than that, been off all week, so that was good. Um, Glad to see everybody in the side chat and look at this wonderful panel. I guess go ahead.
Howdy, folks. Good to see you. Good to be back. I've been off a couple weeks. Just looking forward to the chat. Good to see everybody. Not much to say. Just enjoying being out down at the creek trying to catch a little animal here and there. But we'll send it over to that guy, Chris.
Thank you for the invite, Jamie. I appreciate it. Happy New Year to everybody. And I'm just glad to be here hanging out with you guys on a Friday night. And I guess we'll go over to, since Buck's a special guest, we probably better let him be last. So, Gene, what have you been up to? You're muted.
I'll get a do-over then.
Get a do-over.
Well, I'm at the point of my second favorite night of every week. My first being Chris of the 740s Wednesday night chat. And I always look forward to that, and I always look forward to the Georgia Shooting Connection on Friday night. Thanks for having me aboard. I greatly appreciate it. Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I had a pretty good one myself. Yeah, that's about it. So we're going to shoot over next to the Scotsman.
All right, so Mock, let's be honest. Let everyone know out there what you've really been doing. You've been chasing the beaver. Stop lying to people. You've been chasing the beaver.
Damn, Skippy.
They're evading him.
They are evading me.
It's good to be here, folks. Good to see everyone out there. Man, I'm hoping this year's going to be better than the last couple. Y'all decide how it goes yourself, so you got to make it for yourself. So stay positive, and things will be good. Good to be here. Good to see everyone out there. And Waller, what you got, man?
Hey, like everybody else, this is something I look forward to all week long. You know, the first thing I think to myself when I get up in the morning on a Friday morning, say, oh man, it's Georgia time. And I always end up being like almost the last guy to log into the panel because I'm out at the bench, I'm running around, and I got to start learning how to set reminders on these phones or something. I don't know. It's always, hey, it's 20 till I got to get going. But anyway, yeah, happy to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation. We already got a rip-roaring side chat over there. It's always fun to talk to you guys over there on the side chat, seeing what's up with everybody, and good to see my friends out here on the panel, and really nice to have the Tactical Fudd himself down here tonight. That's going to be fun. So we'll talk a little bit later about what's happening at the Whole Bench, but everything's good. Rainy week here on the Central Coast of California. We had rain all week, which is good for us. So where are we at? CW?
Yes, sir. And that's the truth. I get a text most mornings from Walter, and the first thing he said this morning was it's Georgia Day. Welcome, everyone. Glad to be here. Glad you could make it. This is our last one for the year. I want to wish happy New Year to everybody. Safe and prosperous New Year. Don't drink and drive. Remember those who ain't home, who are out protecting us so that we can have a good time at home. So keep them in your thoughts. We got a special guest tonight, Tactical Fudd, and he's going to start casting. So we got some casting questions. So you guys in the side chat, we got casting night tonight. So you got some questions you want to bring up? Tonight's the night. Jamie?
Thank all you guys in the panel for being here, and I want to introduce Mr. Tactical Fudd, who intends to start casting on Monday. The only thing he said in the before meeting here was, I think I got everything down. I'm just nervous, and that's typical. That ain't no big deal. If you've reloaded a case and fired it out of your firearm, Buck, you ain't casting ain't nothing compared to that kind of pressure. And
I'll say this: when it comes to casting, one of the pretty much the first time I did it, I set up for 44 Magnum, and I spent 3 hours on the phone with Willie while I was casting, and the first hour was terrible, and it was terrible because I didn't know anything about what I was really doing as far as keeping the mold hot, keeping the pot to the right temperature, and that was all things you have to figure out. And once we got it figured out, the next 2 hours was awesome. It was just me and Willie hanging out on the phone, BSing and making 44s. So when it comes to anything firearms related, I always say being nervous to an extent is a good thing. You want to be somewhat nervous because it helps you to be better at what you're doing. You have respect for it. And when you have respect for it, you're always going to be better.
I would just tell Buck, remember all those videos you watched from Fortune Cookie 45 LC. Everything is hot all the time. Just like taking a gun to the range, it's always loaded. So shoot away. Let us know what we can answer for you.
Well, like y'all said, thank y'all let me come in the chat and everything to learn something. But like you said, I'm just like a little nervous. I'm pretty sure I got most of it down, like I said. But I just like to retouch on some things before I really get started. And the main thing y'all say usually keep the lead about 750 somewhere in there, roughly.
It'll depend on the mold.
Well, the only molds I got are Lee molds.
Yep, up there over 700, between 7 and 740. And
Okay.
you just got to kind of run the mold and see how they perform. But most of them run pretty well up in that range. Look at that bullet. Look
The
at
answer-
that beautiful bullet.
Vanessa Kitty, a little over 800 grains and 60 caliber.
Nice.
That's a pot drainer. But
Oh, I
don't
tell
be
you what.
casting any of those. What are you going to be casting first?
Well, I'm gonna cast some 45 ACP, some of the wild cutters. I got two molds in that. I got 230 grain and 200 grain. Both of them are semi wild cutters. And then I'm gonna cast some 300 blackout and 160 grain, and then some 9mm and
So
124 grain.
one of the
Well-
biggest things you got to watch when you're casting is how fast the pot goes down. And you got to watch it because as the pot goes down and it gets lower and lower, the temperature is going to change and the way it casts is going to change. And as you add more to it,
That's going to change it too, right?
it's going to change it again too. So you got to be real careful.
What pot do you have? The Lee 420?
Lee 420.
Yeah, and
Great.
so it's just got a heating element in it, and so the less metal you have in that pot, as the level of it drops, it'll tend to the
Go
temperature will climb up a little bit. So, if you got a lead thermometer, that's good. If not, you just kind of watch your bullets, and if they start coming out frosty, then your mold and maybe the melt are both getting a little bit too hot for you. But
And I got a lead thermometer. I got it one of them Lyman's
yeah,
thermometers.
that'll be
I got
helpful.
that.
Yeah,
Plus,
just
I
stick
got
that
the
in there
little heat
periodically
gun.
stick that thermometer in there periodically and kind of get a feel for how that pot behaves for you with the alloy that you're using. and do your best. You get up there and turn that little knob there on the top, and if it starts jumping up over 740, then you turn it down a tick and slow your cadence of casting down just a little bit, and that'll help keep your bullets cool.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I can tell you with a lead pot is no two are the same. I've
Most of them grip.
talked to so many people
Yeah.
over the years, but no lead pot is the same. And
Yep.
so like mine likes to run right in between 6 and 7.
Oh boy, that's high compared to a lot of the others.
And other people have told me run it at 4. Like Willie, I think
Yeah.
it was Willie told me to run it between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
That's where mine
And
likes
mine
to
has to be a little bit higher.
be. I'll be darned. Yeah. Yeah. And what TW was saying, Buck, was that they tend to drip a little bit. So get you either an ingot mold, like a Lee ingot mold or something like that, and put that underneath the spout, and just let it drip. And periodically you put those drips back in the pot. But they do tend to drip. There's things you can do to mitigate that, but they do tend to drip a little bit. And that's not a big deal. You just don't want them dripping all over the base of your platform there. You want something to catch it.
So I have a question. I've been thinking about a lead thermometer as well. I've not used one all these years I've been casting. Willie built me a PID, and I've been relying on that pretty much. But I've been doing it a while, so I'm pretty well tell when I'm too hot, when I'm too cold. Like Thorzak said, heat control, number one. Um, and this, everybody on the panel, everybody in the side chat, ring in with your answers about this. I've been debating on whether to go get one of those heat guns where you temperature gun and use that, or whether I need to buy a lead thermometer.
All right. So if you're talking about one of the laser guns, I'm going to tell you no.
Me too.
And
It
the,
Only
doesn't
going to
like-
read surface temperature.
Yep,
It
that's all
doesn't
you get
like
is
it.
what's going on right at the very surface.
you're not going to get the actual temperature. You're only going to get what it catches. That's it. You're not going to get the actual temperature.
Yeah, it's kind of like making taffy. You got to have your probe down in the taffy. You can't be probing the top of it.
And there's digital ones. Lyman makes that digital one, and it's about half the price of an analog type thermometer. I don't know why that is, but that Lyman digital thermometer only runs about $35, and an analog thermometer, it's just a dial with a thermistor on the end of a stem. You stick that down in there. That one right there. But
Yep, Buck's got it right.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, I got this off of Midway for like $23.
Yeah, they're inexpensive, and
Yeah.
they may not they may not be exact as far as the temperature, but they certainly will tell you if it's fluctuating and whether the temp is creeping up, or if it's getting too cold, or if the pot's not right yet. So
Well, something.
And one thing to note with that, since you have the electronic one, I always use a manual as well. So Lyman has one, and there's a few others out there too. But I'm pretty sure I have the Lyman one.
All right.
And it's just a manual thermometer. It'll let you know kind of where you're at and keep you close.
And Buck, what we're talking about here, it's not really so much about the temperature of the lead as it is about the temperature of the mold. The temperature of your pot's important too, but controlling the temperature of the mold blocks is what you're really after. And the way we do that is, number one, to control the temperature in the pot, and number two is your cadence. How fast are you dumping, refilling, cut the sprue, dump, refill, cut the sprue, dump?
There's a couple other
That's your
factors I
cadence.
think that come into play to that, if I'm not wrong, and you guys chime in and say so. But the way that I've done it over the years so far, and I haven't messed with anything else, but is I have them sitting on top of the pot. Now, I know some of you guys use
Hot plate.
a hot plate. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Hot plates, and you have the hot plate set up, and you rotate your molds. I have a hot plate. I just haven't used it yet. I just haven't got to that point. I haven't casted probably, I don't know, a year and a half. It's sad because I have all kinds of molds. I just haven't done it yet. But using that hot plate gives you a better advantage because you're able to kind of control the temperature of the mold and keep it going and then rotate through versus just trying to do it on top of a pot. So my point to that is, Fudd, I'm not sure how you have things planned for yourself. I don't know if you have a hot plate available to you, or if you plan on just using the pot itself.
No, I'm gonna use the hot plate. See, I've been going on other people's, been listening to y'all. I've been getting trying to get everything, the right stuff, not the cheap stuff, except for the lead dies. But anyhow, I'm trying to do it right the first time, and then get into
There's nothing wrong with those Lee molds. They will cast and cast and cast and cast for you and do a good job. And they've got some good mold designs too. That the 185 grain semi-wad cutter bullet, the Hensley and Gibbs style bullet, is a winner. It's a great bullet, as I'm sure you'll find out. But yeah, the hot plate, the idea there is it gets our molds up to temperature faster. You set it over there on your hot plate, maybe put a little dome over it out of an old coffee can or something like that to hold the heat in there. And by the time your lead in your pot melted and up to temperature, now your mold is already up to temperature too. If you don't do that, then you end up filling your mold, dumping the bullets back, fill your mold with hot lead, and bringing your mold blocks up to temperature that way. And it just takes more time. Plus, as the Scotsman was alluding to, if you got several molds that you're going to do, you can have the one that you're running at the pot, and the other one's back there staying warm and in the dugout over there, ready to go. As soon as you're done with the first mold, now you bring up the second one. It's already heated. That's one of the best moves I made in casting in a long time. Was to start using a hot plate. I don't know how long ago I started doing that, but they really do help.
And see, that was one thing I learned right off the bat when I first started was I was doing it wrong. And not necessarily doing it wrong, but doing it wrong because I was doing one mold and relying on the pot itself. And everyone I kept talking to just kept telling me you should be using the hot plate, and then rotating molds.
Yeah.
All right. Now go ahead, Walter.
I was gonna say Lee puts that little flat spot up there on the top of the pot, and their idea for that is to help keep a mold warm, but it will not get your mold hot enough unless you leave it up there all afternoon or something.
Well,
it's
like
not hot
with a Lee mold, it's going to work fine. But if you're using a steel mold or a brass mold or anything like that, it's going to take so much longer to get that hot and keep it hot.
Now, these aluminum molds I got, at what temperature should the molds average, or what temperature should the molds be at when you cast it?
Good. That's a good question. And if you have one of the thermal type, laser thermometers, you can kind of test the surfaces of the mold blocks. As they come off the hot plate, you can gun them and take a look at what those mold block surfaces are.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
And somewhere around 400 degrees probably is a good place to start. And you can tell right off if the mold blocks are too hot, because one of two things will happen. Either the lead won't solidify, you put it, draw it into the mold and it just stays runny, and won't harden. Your sprue runs all over the floor and stuff. Then your blocks are way too hot. Or if the bullets are just way, way, way frosty on that very first pour, then you probably got your mold a little bit too hot.
And that's when you just drop them in the wet sponge, right?
I wouldn't drop them in there.
Well, set them down in there.
Yeah, kind of. You can rest them on a damp sponge. You want your blocks to be held closed tightly when you do that. You don't want steam going up into the blocks, but just put the base on there, and it's just a sizzle second, or you can just go set it down and go do something else for a couple of minutes and let it air cool. Open the blocks. Go get a drink of water, come back, and that'll probably do the same thing. But if you inundate those things with water, you run the risk of blocks.
Not a good idea to run them to flush them with water. A damp sponge, not a wet sponge. You can you can damage them. So heating them up too hot is one thing, but cooling them down real fast is not a good thing for them.
All right. Now another question is, when you season these, I think it was Jamie said he bakes his in the oven for like 3 different times at 400 degrees.
Yep. Up to 400 degrees and back to room temperature. You do it for about a half an hour.
I was just gonna bring that up. Make sure you're seasoning them before you do anything else.
And what about smoking them? I heard people say yes, and I heard no.
Just a minute. Time out. Hold that thought. Before we go much further, we've had 2 different people ask, do we think that the infrared thermometers would give you a good reading of the mold temperature? And I replied in the side chat that I thought that it would. I didn't see any reason why it wouldn't. Miss Kitty also said that she thought it would. So I think if you want to know how hot your according to what the guys are saying, you're only going to get a reading of the temperature on the top if you use that for your lead in the pot. But as far as the mold, how could it not do that?
It'll be damn close.
Yeah,
it'll work fine for the mold block, but the laser thermometers don't like the reflective surface of the lead. So you will not get anywhere near an accurate reading on the lead itself.
All right. And Mr. Pollard on that point said that you can buy them on eBay for $40. Walks brought up that he bought his at Roto Metals, and a couple of other guys back in the chat said the same thing. Somebody said NOE had a good price when they were looking for them. So most of the time I've seen them, they've been $60 or $70 for the Lyman one, and I thought that was a little much. Just like the Lee lead hardness
tester,
tester. I always thought that was overpriced for what it was. And Thorax for the win. Just get a PID and you're done.
Go spend $400
for the new casters. Don't let all this science and experience scare you. You can get lost in the details, guys. I'm just going to be the advocate for the new guy for a little bit here, but jump in there, learn the game a little bit, heat the mold up, drop some bullets. If you get wrinkles, give it a few minutes, try it again. I mean, just look at the answers to what your mold's telling you. You can have all the tricks and tools in the book, but the most things you're going to learn are from actually doing it. And
that's the biggest thing. And I'll be an advocate for that, because when I first started, and again, I go back to when I was on the phone with Willie, the first hour of me casting, I was getting all kinds of wrinkles, I was getting all kinds of issues, and Willie was walking me through it. Okay, dude, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And that's what we did. And after that first hour, I had perfect bullets just dropping constantly.
Mm-hmm.
When you got a one-on-one chat like that, that's the best way to get that learning process rolling. But again, don't let all the experience, and I'm not trying to take away from it, but don't let that intimidate or get lost in that. information, because you can get lost real quick and worry about all this other stuff when all you're trying to do is drop some bullets. All you got to do is throw them back in and redo them.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
That's one of the
one thing
great
good
things.
about lead. You
Yeah.
can always start over.
That lead
Right,
pot's
that's it.
real forgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I want
Always remember this though: if you start getting wrinkles out of your bullets, it's an old mold. So send it back and get a new one.
and you know,
See here.
good luck with
I
that.
think right before casting, and I'm sure we've all talked about it before, and but Walter has a lot of videos on mold prep. You're going to get, once you get that mold prepped, then you're going to have a better process. So
Yeah, I've
And
been
mold prep
watching
is
a
just
lot
cleaning
of.
them and heating them.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Walter's videos and CW. And
Well,
thanks
that's-
CW. Now I'm going out and
Yeah.
buy a 410 shotgun so I can reload shotgun shells.
well, we all know
Okay.
the sprue plate on the Lee is real temperamental, so that's what I was talking about, is tuning up that sprue plate a little bit so it doesn't gouge the top of your mold. And I've got a couple that are gouged, and it really doesn't hurt anything. It's just, what do you like to see, and what kind of equipment do you want to have in your, arsenal? So.
I've got some
And
scratches
thanks
on
for
my
addressing this comment to to some point. If your sprue plate is cold, you're not getting any lead into the cavities.
Right.
It's going to stop right there until you get that sprue plate hot. And that's one
Okay. Now
in my
go
mold
ahead.
furnace. I always turn it upside down and heat that sprue plate up first because the heat's coming up from the bottom. Go ahead,
Right.
Bud. I'm sorry.
I was getting ready to ask you, should it be better to just lay it on the side and let everything heat up like that, or?
Sure.
Yeah. I turn mine
Okay.
upside down and start with the sprue plate down on the hot plate and get it good and hot. And then turn it right side up for the next 15, 20 minutes or so.
Sometimes my first pour, I coat the top of the sprue plate, knock it off, and that heats that sprue plate up real quick. You're pretty much done, and you're rolling at that point.
And some
Another
guys
quick
use a
trick
torch,
is
but
if you got a propane torch, that'll get
That
the sprue
too.
plate warmed up very fast.
Yeah, be careful with that. You can overheat them real quick.
Yeah, you'll warp them. It has to be
Yeah,
warm.
you
Don't
can
do it
warp
on a cold mold.
So if you do find one that's got that little gap in there, what can you do about that? Just take it off and try to straighten it out best you can, or?
you
Between the
lost
screw
me.
plate and the
I'm
blocks.
not sure.
No, like when your sprue plate gets like a warp in it, and you see a little gap in there. What's the best way to repair that, or
Buy a
should
new
you worry
sprue
about it?
plate.
That's
if
bad.
it's a
Yeah,
if it's a
replace
Lee
it.
six cavity, if it's a Lee six cavity, you can get a whole new sprue plate for $5, $6 or something.
Oh,
They're
okay.
cheap. The 2 cavities don't have replacements, I don't think.
I would say with that and pretty much anything when it comes to it, if you're having an issue with any kind of reloading system, whether it be a pot, whether it be a mold, whatever, call the company. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna take care of you.
Yeah.
These companies operate based on what we as the consumer tell them is good. And so a lot of these companies run on a no BS warranty, and essentially that's what it is. It's a no BS warranty. So you drop a spring, you do this, you do that, whatever, you call them and they send it right to you.
Let's address this question right here. CW and I have discussed this before.
Good one.
It's like a ratio of your bullet block to your mold block, and I'm sure all you guys have experienced this. If you've got a big bullet in a small block, you're going to heat that. That's going to get really hot really quick. You're going to have to slow down. If you've got a little bitty bullet in a big, huge block, you're going to struggle to keep it hot enough to cast decent bullets. Number one example is for the small one. I have the Lee 225 55, round flat, 6 cavity lead mold. I about can't keep that thing hot enough to cast any bullets. And if it does, are those worth shooting? Um, I've started well, here's one right here. This is the latest mold I've got, and it's a 4 cavity, and it's a Seiko, and you can see
Mhm.
that's about the right ratio right there. You can start out with that about 400 degrees, and it'll heat up. But that's a great question, Pony, because it'll
Mhm.
force your cadence, as Walter was saying.
And,
Now,
and anytime you, something to bear in mind, anytime you induce more lead, or you cast some and they don't go quite right and you throw them back in the pot, it's going to change the temperature. It's going to change how that is acting. It's going to take a little bit for it to reheat and get to the point where it's pouring good bullets. There's a lot of things that come into play when you get into casting. You really got to pay attention and take your time, slow down. It's not like, okay, we have a USPSA match this coming weekend, and then jump on the 650 and just crank and crank and crank. It's not like that. You got to be a little bit more attention to detail.
Yeah, definitely. With as many bullets as I've cast, I just got that new Lee 356 95 grain in 2 cavity. And it took me probably 10 pours to really start seeing what it was doing with the heat, where I need the heat to be, played with the pot temp a little bit.
Mhm.
And after that, I started casting good bullets.
Yeah,
Um,
and
I
that's
t-
not unusual at all to have to
yeah,
do 10 pours. And I've had molds that I've dropped 50 bullets out of, and it still wasn't ready to rock.
yeah.
And you just
One advantage I had, though, I grew up casting lead sinkers in the garage with my grandfather. So I grew up being around
right.
having the temp of the lead and the aluminum molds, and keeping everything moving, because we sold sinkers at the lakes. We would drive around with buckets full of those things and sell them. So
One of the best feelings that you can get while casting is take your time, heat up your sprue plate, heat up the mold, get the lead good and melted, mixed, and all that stuff, and your first pour makes good bullets. That's one of the best feelings.
Yeah,
uh,
it is.
I've
I know
had
you
that
want to
happen.
stand back and go.
Got a little
Doesn't happen too
comment and
often, but
question. Whenever you go through the panel here, guys, and it's probably hard to do a lot, but sometimes you can open the stream. Do you guys run a full mold, or do you open the stream, shut the stream as you move into each cavity?
Depends
I
on the mold.
myself will open and shut on each cavity, and sometimes you don't even hit the sprue plate. I think that has to do with when you get started that day or that time when the temperature's not up to par, you get better bullets quicker. But as time goes on, you can start dragging through there and not worried about being so precise on your pour. But I'm just curious what you guys do. Do you try to do nothing but net, or do you guys just drag it across and let it fill the next cavity up?
Depends on how
I
hot
can.
these are.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you use a continuous pour, it tends to get that sprue plate heated up faster, and
Yep.
that can end up causing smeared bases and stuff. So it depends a little bit on the mold. If you look at a mold like the Hensley and Gibbs mold, the sprue plate has a trough cut
Yeah.
into it, and it's
Yeah.
designed to do a continuous pour. And that sprue performs a function. We want some sprue up there on top of each cavity, no matter which way you do it, because that provides a puddle for that cavity to pull from. Because as the lead in the cavity cools, it's going to contract, and it will pull that lead from the sprue down into itself. And sometimes you can even see a little dimple right in that sprue. You can see a little hole start to form, a little dimple from
Yeah.
it
And the
pulling
softer
down
your
into
lead
it.
is, the more it pulls in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can
So
watch it.
I
You
tend,
can watch
yeah,
it pull in.
2 cavity molds. I tend to do cavity by cavity, but 4 and more, I'll do a continuous pour.
And I think no matter what,
Unless they get too hot.
I get better fill out if I try to hit the hole, so to speak, and not
Mhm.
drag across. No matter what, I get better pours. I get better fill out. I get better
Mhm.
consistency. Speaking of consistency, I was curious, how often do you guys add your sprues to it, or do you wait till the end of the batch and remelt and reflux?
Well, that's
Um,
a good question.
we're getting into some more of the science of it, and I know simple's, keep it simple, stupid for these new guys, but
Mhm.
there's a lot to
Uh,
look at. Keeping the lead consistent, give it a stir every third or fourth pour. I don't
So
know.
so when I first started, I was just throwing them back in as I was going, and what I was finding, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the chat too, is you got to watch when anything you add or when it gets low, the temperature changes, and so you got to be real careful. And so what I was finding was every time I kept throwing something in, I started getting different results. And so basically, what I do now is I just wait. I'll just get them all to the end, get it done to a certain point, and I'll throw them all back in at once, and I'll let it come back up to a good temperature, and then keep going.
Okay, let me jump in here for a second. It is 8:39. We've been on 38 minutes and 40 seconds, and we have still not gone through the side chat because everybody is so excited to talk about casting.
it's true. You're right. I'll shut up.
And I want to say especially hi and thanks for coming in to Six Shooter Texan. He's on the road, and I wrote him in the side chat, hey, but he's driving. So, hey, Six, welcome in. So, everybody type HNY for Happy New Year, and we'll call your name out. Sorry it took so long. I got excited too. So Walter's first. So we got Tim S says PID. He's so disobedient, is he not?
I was thinking he was right on the money.
Yeah, that's your answer, folks. Georgia Shooting Connection. I'm thinking that's Kyle or CW.
No, it's
Uh,
okay.
Tactical Bud, Papa's Place, GGW, Kyle. Chris from the 740s on the panel. Tommy Boy, William C. Chapin, Reloader 762, Ozark, Spirit, Tim S., Papa's Place, Bobby Barlow, Idaho Rogers, I'm jealous, 45 120, huh? James Pugh, MacMan 039 Reloading, Harm, Mr. Pollard, 67 Rebel SST AMC, MCK is on the panel and in the side chat. Jared Bear Tactical, Wes, Walks Fletcher, Lakeview Outdoors, James Pugh, Edward Petty, Ricky Barry, what's up, brother? Big E, also driving. Hey, Big E, be careful out there. James Pugh, CW, Andre D'Angelo, Vanessa Kitty. I think that's all.
So
The
we have a good comment out there from Dave Dorzax. Casting your own bullets will make you a better shooter and more accurate marksman. You'll be able to practice more than the average person at the range. I'm a firm believer in learning everything you can about the art you're doing, and it is an art form. Um, no matter what it is, no matter if it's shooting, no matter if it's archery, whatever it is, learn as much as you can, do as much as you can, and constantly try to make yourself better. Um, delve into it, research, the whole 9 yards. Everything is going to make you better. It's the small things that make the difference.
Yes, it
So,
is, Scotsman. That's well said.
And casting your own bullets just adds another sense of pride in your process of configuring your ammunition for that particular firearm and doing the best you absolutely can to make sure that your ammo is the best that it can be. And I think you can get there in many cases better than you can with factory bullets because you get to control the size of the bullet and the alloy and all those other kinds of things that you learn to do as
Well,
you're going along.
what is better than taking a case that you fired once, loading it start to finish with a primer you purchased, powder you purchased, and a bullet you cast, and put it to the firearm itself. So you've dropped it in the barrel, you've done the drop test, and you get everything just right. What is better than that? Nothing.
I can
Because you
answer
know,
Build your own gun.
Killing a
No.
deer with it.
turn that chunk of a clip-on wheel weight and an empty case into meat on your table.
There
Take
you
it out,
are.
kill the deer with it,
right?
and you've got to be able to do all that. As Thorzak says, always challenge yourself. If we're not challenging ourselves, even to the point of not being able to achieve our challenges, what are we learning? We've got to keep pushing. Got to keep pushing because when you quit, when you become content, you become complacent. You got to stay on edge.
You always got to be poking that bear.
Yeah.
Always poke that bear. But Buck, take everything that you're hearing here, and when you start doing it, you're going to find your way. You're going to find the way you want to do things. I don't do things exactly like CW or Mark or Jason or Scott.
Why not?
I don't do things the same as they do, and they don't do them the same as I do. But we do what works for us.
Now, there's going to be similarities, of course.
Similarities, yes, but
we all have our individual little things that we do, and it comes from experience and time again. And you'll figure it out, man. And you know, you're more than welcome to call any one of us or ask any one of us as you're doing the process. Just for anyone out there in the side chat and as well. You know, if you guys are getting the same thing, you know, you can all reach out to us. We're happy to help. That's the whole point of doing this. It's the whole point of this chat that we do every week is
Let me
to help
say
you guys
something real
and make
quick.
you guys better.
I saw Ricky Barrett out in the side chat. Give me a call in the morning, bud. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I never saw your text.
Mike Hester, the Rebel, came in late. Mark Thomas wants to know what we got for Christmas, shooting, casting, or reloading related. I don't know that I got anything, but I wanna tell Bud something, and then I want all y'all to expand on it. To me, the two necessities for a successful bullet: you dropping it out of your mold, and you look at it. First of all, the first inspection comes before you even drop the bullet out of the mold. You've got to have a good and a flat base. We don't want any tear out. In other words, knocking the sprue plate open too soon, tearing out the middle of the lead. We don't want any holes in the bottom, and we want it completely full. To me, if your bases are not completely flat, Daniel God is my judge. That's not a successful bullet. And number two is your driving bands. You want no little specks, no voids in your driving bands. Unless you're shooting casting rifle bullets, stuff on the nose and stuff like that, little wrinkles in the top of the bullet. Nah. I mean, I wouldn't send them to my friends, but I would probably shoot a good bit of them. But,
I'll throw them at cardboard at USPSA in a heartbeat.
Yeah, when Chris gets back, I got to tell a story. But did we get anything for tactical FUD? Did that make any sense? What I said to you?
Yes, sir. Everything y'all say makes sense. And I need the Scotsman Walter, and everybody on here, and Gene to call my work, tell them to give me some damn time off so I can go out and shoot.
I tell you what, man, you put that number in the private chat, and I will call them for you. I'll let them have it.
I'm not feeling good. I think I need to go home,
Yeah.
cast up some bullets.
Man,
I will give them a perfect message, and you'll get plenty of time off.
You may not be able to go back.
Yeah,
You better
I'm
be
kinda
careful with
worried
that
about
guy.
that.
I was with Buck last weekend, and he's gonna need some more time off.
Yeah, there may not be an I in team, but there may be a
Walter,
U in
can you call
unemployment.
for me?
He don't want Gene to call. Not with that.
Just remember, man, be careful what you wish for.
Oh,
Hey, in today's age, man, with all that wokey equality stuff in company heads, they probably give him a couple weeks off and a clap out the door.
Yeah, to back up what Jamie said, that when that bullet leaves the barrel, it hits the crown area, and if you got some voids or some pockets or whatever at that point, you're going to discover some inaccuracies, and that's plinking's okay and everything, but just get started in good habits. You know, keep it simple, learn, and make them look good. Most of the time, you're going to end up with a good product.
well, the first one I cast and it comes out perfect, that is going up. I'm gonna mount that bitch on the wall.
There you are.
Now
And
comes
then
Mama's
when
hot glue gun.
And then when I powder coat, the first perfect one I get, that's going right beside of it. My step by step.
I'll
You
tell
know,
you
when I
what, there
first
is a
started
little bit of
casting,
yeah.
I wanted to see a little bit of frostiness because it did help with powder coat kind of sticking and coating and grabbing and whatever. But once you get your tin mixture right, get that nice flow, get that smooth bullet, you know, it's something you can be like
There's
we
a
talked
learning
about
curve.
The
earlier.
lead I'm using is Lyman number 2 from Roto
Yeah,
Films.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And get your
Yeah,
pencils.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Get your
already got the
pencils
pencil.
and test every batch you run.
I
Keep a
got the
record of,
pencil.
you know, your recipes, because in the beginning for me, I didn't keep good records on what was in my pot, and if I got a good performing bullet, whether it was mushrooming or, you know, leading or whatever, I didn't know what I had in the pot, so I started taking better record of what's in the pot. And the pencils are great, in my opinion, for your personal record keeping. Once you get a baseline, run the pencils. I mean, you got to have some
Yeah.
kind of a reference point.
And that stuff from Roto Metals will be pretty consistent. Got a BHN of 15. It runs right in there. It's expensive to get it from them. You know, you can make your own, and there's other sources for castable lead alloy. But that's a good place to start because you don't have to worry then about mixing your alloy. And it's a
Sure.
good, decent alloy to use on everything except for, magnum loads. Once you start getting a higher pressure and higher velocity, then even BHN 15 is not quite enough. But you'll learn about that too.
Yeah, for right now, I think I'm going to just stick with 945 and 300 blackout until I get more familiar with it.
Well, Fud, like they said though, be careful. Depends on how many cavities you have.
Well,
Like if
everything
you're
I got is 2 except for the 9mm. That's 6. That's my
Yeah, well,
first
that-
6.
that 2
Yeah.
cavity 45 is going to get hot fast.
Yeah,
you're
but I
really
don't
gonna-
think I'm going to have all that speed at the beginning.
Yeah, you're going to have to really maybe start with that then, because you're going to have to back down on your cadence a lot.
Yeah, I
with
got
that.
2 cavity molds just so I could get used to it.
Yeah.
Trying
See
not
ya,
to
Andy.
That's fine. Yeah,
Good
you'll see
night,
how they
Andy.
run.
I went
Night
full
there,
bore
Andy.
when I bought my first mold. I bought it 6 cavities, all of them across the
Yeah.
board. I just
I
ordered them.
almost did that too. Then I started thinking, this is a little bit cheaper.
Well, it was about, I started to reload and cast because of shooting, competitively. So I needed mass quantity now. I wanted 6 bullets a drop. I didn't want 2. I wanted 6. Boom, 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 boom. And so that's what I've been working with all this time. But I've got a couple 2 cavity molds I work with, and I've learned to slow my cadence down a little bit, relax a little bit, watch some videos or TV while I'm working with it, and it works out pretty good.
Yeah, and you can do things like run 2 molds simultaneously, and so one's kind of cooling while you're filling the other one.
Mhm.
Every once in a while I've gotten myself in a jam doing that and had to set one of them down. That happened to be just recently. two new molds and tried to run them two at the same time, and it just wasn't going to have any part of it. I had to put one down and just run one. But that is possible, to run a couple of molds at once and adjust your cadence. And that, again, that's just something you learn. And you also are going to find out that no two Lee molds, two cavity molds are going to run the same, even if they're the same bullet design. One of them will like it a little hotter than the other one. They're like, I was going to say like they're women, but that's not a fair comparison. But a mold does seem to have a personality to it. And I can recommend highly that, if you figure out this is something that you like to do and that you enjoy the process of doing it, it can get under your skin and become a hobby, and you'll end up with a lot more molds. So as you go through, develop yourself a system of keeping records on how these molds run, what temperature they like to run, what the bullets weigh as they drop, what the overall length for your firearms needs to be with bullets from that mold. Make yourself a record of that, so you'll have that. That's really been a handy thing for me to do.
I've got an Arsenal mold I've never even heated up yet. I don't think I've even cleaned it. I've had it. I've had that for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now.
You sound like you don't need it. I'll buy it from you.
There you go.
I bought the 61 grain Elvis ammo for 223.
Let me give you a professional amateur tip. It's important to take breaks while you're casting.
Ain't no problem.
You'll get burnt out. And the best way that I've found to force yourself to take a break is to throw 2 muffin tin ingots in the pot, because you won't be able to use it for about 10 minutes.
That was my next question too. I'm glad you said something about that. After you say, like, after you drop the ingots in, you should wait at least 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that.
It's going to make you wait 10.
That's where your thermometer comes back into play.
Right.
Yeah.
Did we answer the earlier question about how often do we put the sprues back in? Did we wrangle around that question? I never answered.
So.
Well, because that's kind of pertinent to this. Dumping your sprues back in, those are like little ice cubes when you put them back in your pot. And so the two schools of thought are put them right back in and stir your pot, which is another thing. You need to keep that lead alloy mixed all the time. Every 4 or 5 mold drops at minimum, get in there and stir that pot back up. But if you put your sprues back in continuously, then you're not going to cool your pot down to the point that you can't use it. If you get, if you cast 10 pounds of worth of bullets and you've got that mountain of sprues there, and now you dump all that in, now you are going to take a break, which is fine. But you're going to come back in and flux. Other folks say that dropping the sprues in too frequently tends to drag debris and impurities and stuff down to the bottom of the pot, and it can work its way down into the spout and plug things up a little bit. I'm not sure whether that's a valid point or not. It hasn't happened to me, and I've done it both ways. I tend to wait until I've got a pretty good mound of sprues, put them all back in, planning on back, okay, now I'm going to go get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, come back, and I'm going to reflux and stir and all that kind of stuff. Mold goes over to the hot plate when I do that, because it's going to be 10 minutes probably before you're ready to go again.
On the 6 cavity molds, I'll take the 3 to 5 pours and then put the sprues back in, and they're not completely cooled off yet, because you really can't touch them. Maybe with rubber gloves, you can't. Leather gloves, you can touch them. And then I stir. Like you said, some of that oxidation may work its way down to the spout. I haven't noticed anything, and I get good results. But I do stir it every 3rd or 4th, 5th time with the 6 cavities. And when it comes to the double cavity molds, I wait till about 10 or 12 sprues and they're still warm, so I'll put that back in. It just keeps my lead consistent. It keeps my recipe going good and everything. And while we're talking about adding sprue, we can probably throw in some flux. What do you guys do for fluxing in the pot versus fluxing making ingots?
Good point.
I don't know what he's got set up for that stuff, but
what I got set up for that, I got a box of beeswax.
yeah,
Since I already got the ingots already made and everything,
there you
should be
go.
clean, I guess. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and the deal about stirring and whatnot, Buck, when we have this alloy, this like Lyman number 2, that's not a new molecule of some brand new metal. It's just a mixture. And if you let the pot sit, the lighter metals will float out of that mixture. Your tin and antimony will float to the top.
Yeah,
and so we want to keep that stuff all stirred up.
Yeah.
And so it's an easy thing to do to throw a little bit of fluxing material in there. I don't think you have to flux every time you add sprues, a couple sprues back in there. But certainly when you add a big batch, you're going to get some oxidized material that you don't want down in there.
To be honest, I think I'm going to wait to the end and throw everything back in then. And is it a good idea to whatever's left over in the pot, pour it back into like an ingot mold? Or would it be okay sitting in the pot?
If you're always using the same alloy, then you can leave some in the pot.
I probably will be for a little while.
If you know that you're going to be, if you're casting with different alloys every other time or something, maybe you need to make some harder bullets, then you might want to drain that pot before you start mixing your new alloy. But I always leave a little bit in there. And Thorzak mentioned it earlier, just use rain scrap, and that's what I use mostly with a little bit more tin added to it. And it's fine. So that's my basic alloy anyway for everything. So if I've been casting with rain scrap and my little tin that I stick it out, I'll leave a couple pounds in the pot. I think it's helpful for getting the rest of that alloy melted as you put it in. If you get that first inch or 3/4 of an inch of material at the bottom of your pot heated up and liquefied, and then the rest of your lead, it seems to me like it heats up faster. That's probably just wives' tale, but
that's something I've got to start doing right there. Every 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Clean that sucker out.
Yeah, I need to do that too, because man, but I get to casting so much, I usually don't take the time until it clogs up, and then I have to do it.
And what's the best way to clean the pot? I know you heat it up and probably dump it out or whatever. And is there any way to get all of it? There ain't really no way to get all of it out, is it?
You can get most of it out. Open up that, your lever and tip the pot forward just a little bit. Stick something under the back end of it. And let it run into your ingot mold or whatever you're going to drain it into, because that spore pout's right at the very, kind of front edge of 420. It'll come out.
Worst case scenario there, you turn it all the way up and get it nice and hot, and it'll come out.
Okay. And is there anything I got to do? Is there anything I need to do to the pot before I even start melting? Like, as far as cleaning?
Yeah, heat it up good the first time. First time you run that pot, you'll see a lot of smoke come off of it because it's got oil.
Yeah, heat it up real good and make sure you get a good flux.
Yeah, like I say, the only thing I got right now is that beeswax.
That's perfect.
Ozark made a good point. You can go to Home Depot and Lowe's, and they'll give it to you from where they do their customer cutting.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Angel brings me bags of it.
Yeah, well, he's not smelting yet. He's buying pre-formed ingots and just potting it.
I don't even think I should say this in this chat. But I was thinking about doing some smelting and everything too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get some sawdust. I ain't want to go to Lowe's. I sit down on the ground, in the chair with the drill, drilling out like a 2x4, letting Shavings fall in the bucket.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
It'll work.
Works.
I mean, I'll tell you, dude. When I first started casting, I looked at all these different ways of trying to do this, and without coming across the wrong way, which in this chat is probably going to come across the wrong way anyway. But I found that working with sawdust is one of the best ways of doing it, and I had a good availability for that through the various avenues of other work I do. So it works. It's good. No issues.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got a
yeah.
whole pet food container full of sawdust. I keep.
Yeah, I need to go to Home Depot and get me some of those. But I got a tire shop right next to my shop, and I went over there and asked him about some lead weights. He said I can have whatever I want. So the big truck weights.
Oh, heck
Ooh.
yeah.
Good.
I'll take some of that.
Now you got to learn to separate the steel, the zinc, the plastic,
Oh,
the
yeah.
rubber,
The fun begins.
And I have a video on my channel about separating lead wheel weights or wheel weights in general.
And if it's a big truck tire shop, you're going to
Yeah.
get a lot of lead pretty quick.
Yeah, that's big truck tires. Yeah, matter of fact, guy I work for, the company I work for, they own the building, so they kind of renting it.
That's good
So I got
stuff right there.
Good connection.
Yeah, that's real good stuff.
Yeah,
You're
my
going to
best,
find it almost that perfect alloy for rifle bullets. It's going to be about, I would guess, between 12 and 16 BHN.
yeah, my best friend owns a
And
repair shop that does
another
tires.
guy-
So I got that.
Yeah. And now another question I got. That lineman number 2 you got, what's the difference between it and hardball?
It's the
Far as
mixture.
casting
Lyman number 2 is 90% lead, 5% tin, and 5% antimony. And hardball generally is what we call a 92-6-2, which is 92% lead, 6% antimony, 2% tin. The hardness difference isn't huge. Lyman number 2 usually comes in around BHN 15. The hardball is a little harder than that. It might be 16, 17, could be even as high as 18. It kind of depends on who's making it, it seems like. Generally, it's about 16. So,
So that
I was going to say
good.
about 8
bullets.
BHN. Sorry, Bud. Go ahead.
That hardball would be good for pistol rounds and stuff too, I guess.
yeah, it's harder than it really needs to be, but it'll work fine.
Are you going to be powder coating? Or are you going to be
Oh, yes.
conventional?
Good question, CW.
No,
you beat
I'm
me to it.
powder coating. I'm powder coating.
Good call.
Then you're probably a
I
lot
got
harder. You need
Eastwood
it.
powder.
It's it'll work fine, but it's harder than
Harder to
lead.
coat.
You need to have it, especially
So-
for pistol.
So I'm better off just staying with that lineman number 2.
Yeah, that's harder you need as well, but it's fine.
You'd be better
It'll
off
be
just
fine.
sticking with those truck wheel weights that you're going to be able to get, and
Oh yeah.
and start with that. Start making your own ingots.
And that goes back to get your pencils and find out what your hardness is.
Mm-hmm.
If there's, start your baseline. Here's your certain, wheel weights, and here's your store bought, number 2 lineman. So you'll get there.
Yeah. And another thing kind of with the wheel weights, if you have a way to do it, I would not do my smelting in my casting pot. I'd get a cast iron pot and a turkey fryer base or something like that and use a different pot. Those wheel weights got all kinds of crud and junk on them, and it's best not to mess up your casting pot with that. I think I used to do it that way.
It eats up a lot of time, and that's such a small pot. All that steel
Yeah.
clips and this and that, that's a mess. Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely
Yeah,
want to do a cast iron Dutch oven.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try to find one. I think I got an old turkey fryer around here somewhere.
Yeah. Make
Yeah.
sure
Yeah,
you
they
have a
work pretty
lid for
well.
it. Make sure you have a lid for it too. It's really going to cut down your heat up time to start
Yep.
melting the
Okay.
lead. That really
Yeah.
helps a lot. I've got 2 cast iron pots. I've got one smaller Dutch oven and a larger Dutch oven with
Yeah.
the turkey fryer base and a propane tank. And then you need some other items with that as well. You know, like a spoon to get the scum off the top of it, and then something to get the wheel weight clips out of it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
A little.
this: goodwill is your friend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Don't waste
Absolutely.
time when you start out. Yes, ingot molds are great. All you need is somebody's old used muffin pan, because that's about 2.5 pounds per muffin.
Hmm. They're great.
Yeah, that's what I use. Me and Jamie did some smelting the other day, and we used a mold that we got. Uh, Makes those long look like gold bars. Uh, but all you really need is a muffin tin, and you can get you a metal slotted spoon at
Hmm.
Goodwill, and
Or
you
the
can get
dollar
anything
store
to
even.
set up a Dutch oven. And then Chico was mad at me because we bought the same Dutch oven, and I got mine for $3 cheaper on Amazon.
Now, how about this question? Air dry or water quench?
Depends on the need. Depends on the use.
Yeah. Yeah. To
Well, from what
if you're
I've been
gonna
hearing, from what I've been hearing, you go on water quench after you powder coat, right? Let air dry when you
yeah,
mold and casting, and
if you
then
water quench right out of the mold, it will increase the hardness, but you're going to re-anneal that lead when you put it back in the powder coat oven. And I did a whole bunch of testing a few years ago, right when I first started doing powder coating, and measured the hardness. Doing it both ways: quench right out of the mold, let them dry, powder coat, quench again, and then not quench out of the powder coat oven, and that produced softer bullets. But quenching before powder coating and then quench again after powder coating, there was no gain, no appreciable gain in my experience in hardness by doing that. So the only thing that you lose by quenching out right out of the mold is the time you got to let them dry before you can go powder coat. So I don't do it anymore. I drop them right onto a padded, cotton surface, cloth surface, several layers thick.
I got a question on that, Walter, because I know a lot less about this than even Buck. When you said re-anneal the lead, what did you mean by doing that?
When you drop lead into water, the materials that are in there, the lead, the tin, and the antimony, kind of
Hot bullets out of the
congeal.
mold. Hot bullets out of the mold.
Yeah, drop them into the water, and they form like a crystalline structure in there that will be harder than it would be if you just let them air cool. You'll end up with harder bullets. The bullet will have a higher Brinell hardness than if you had just let them air cool. Well, that's a desirable thing in many cases. Sometimes we want those bullets to be harder so that they can withstand the pressures that we're putting behind them with our powder charge. And that's why we say you need a harder bullet sometimes for a higher pressure, faster bullet. It's about the stress that the metal can actually withstand. So, and there's other pieces of that too. But if you put it back into the oven to powder coat it, it softens them back again. It's like almost to the point of remelting them, even though you're really not going to remelt them, but you're going to get it hot. And that will soften the lead right back to where it was as it came right out of the mold, even though you quenched it right out of the mold. So there's no point, at least none appreciable, that I've ever been able to measure. So
Not measurable, yeah.
And
it
because
seems like a wasted step to me.
And because it keeps them the same, I water quench as I drop, and then I water quench after I powder coat too, so I can handle them right away. and I have dedicated towels for each process.
Mhm.
So I dry them off on the towel. I let them air dry for, 10, 15 minutes, and I'm good for powder coating. And then I water quench after that so I can get them out and get them on a towel and get the next batch in.
Lead is
And because it doesn't matter either way, that's just the way I've been doing it this entire time.
Good point. Go ahead, CW.
lead is a really neat material. We can surface harden, like Walter just said, quenching out of the mold. I did the same thing Walter did, and I got different results that Walter did. I found that quenching out of the powder coat oven allowed me to maintain the alloy that I mixed in my pot. Meaning, if I'm using wheel weights and I know my wheel weights are running about 13 BHN, if I just take the bullets out of the mold onto a towel, and then I bring them over to my oven, I powder coat them 400 degrees for 20 minutes, and then I quench them out of the powder coat oven, I maintain that 13
Yes.
BHN.
Exactly. That's and maybe I misspoke, but that's what I was trying to say. That's what you're going to do by quenching after you powder coat. You're not going to end up with something softer. You're going to end up with the alloy that you want. And one other thing is that how much hardness you gain by water quenching is dependent on your alloy. The more antimony you have in there, the harder the more BHN gain you'll get by water quenching, even after powder coating. But for my case, and a lot like CW up there, I use mostly rain scrap, and that stuff has runs around 3% antimony and almost no tin. So I add a little bit of tin, but tin won't do diddly for you for hardness, even by water quenching. So if I have an alloy that I want it to be a BHN of 12, which is usually where mine runs, if I don't quench it out of the powder coat oven, I end up with a BHN of 10 instead if I let it air dry out of the oven, or maybe even less. So, yeah, it does matter. And you got to experiment with your pencils. always keep a crap bullet. One of your goober bullets that comes out. Keep one that you don't powder coat, but you run through the oven anyway, uncoated, and use that for your tester bullet. And so you don't have to, wreck one of your powder coated bullets to test it.
So what I'll do is I'll quench out of the powder coat to maintain the hardness that I mixed in my pot. If I'm doing like a rifle bullet where I want to get a really hard bullet, let's say I'm doing 22 caliber rifle bullets and I want them real hard, but I don't really want to drain my pot and mix it with let's say linotype or something really hard. I will quench out of the mold as long as I know I've got an alloy that's quenchable. Meaning if I'm casting pure lead and I try and quench it, you're not going to gain anything appreciable quenching a pure lead bullet. But if you're quenching like a number two Lyman, like you're using, Buck, you'll get a substantial hardness out of that bullet.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be up in the range of linotype when you quench number two. So I'll quench it out of the mold, and then I'll go over and I'll powder coat it, and I'll quench it again out of the powder coat, and that'll maintain or closely maintain what I got from powder coating, from quenching. Now, you can also, we've just said that in the powder coat oven, 20 minutes, 400 degrees is a good way to soften up bullets. But you could also bake them for 45 minutes, hour, and get varying degrees of hardness. You can harden bullets by baking them in the oven, because after a certain time, they go from soft to hard as they maintain that temperature. The longer they maintain that higher temperature, it's going to change molecularly and they're going to get harder. So you can harden bullets in the oven. It's something I've been wanting to do some videos on that I haven't as yet, but it's something that's been done for a lot of years by a lot of guys who've been doing this for a lot longer than most of us here. and it's a way to get good hard bullets. And it's I want to say it's a different kind of hardness because quenching surface hard, a good alloy that's hard is going to be hard all the way through. So if you take a linotype bullet and you mix linotype in your mold in your pot and you cast a bullet and it's, let's say, 20 BHN, and you take clip-on wheel weights, which are about 13-ish, depending on where you get them from. They're a little harder in different areas, but let's just say 13, and you quench that, you're probably going to be up near 18, 17, 18. So you're going to be close to linotype, but you're only surface hardened your clip-on wheel weights. Your linotype bullets are that hardness all the way through.
Through. Yeah, that's a good point.
So what you'll find is, if you've got a good alloy with a lot of antimony and copper and arsenic and things that make that bullet get hard, they will actually harden up as they sit on your shelf, cast, formed, ready to shoot. They will actually harden up in time. They'll get harder. So if you test them right out of the pot, they're actually going to be pretty soft. They're going to be softer than you think the alloy you mixed them at. In other words, if you think, you just heard CW say it should be 13, and you test your bullets right out of the pot and they're like 9 or 8, and CW doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. We'll come back in 2 weeks when that bullet is stabilized and check it again, and you'll have that 13.
Yep. And they can continue to harden for months and months, or even
if they've
years,
got a lot of copper and arsenic and antimony in them. Yes, they will even get harder, and they can actually circle, and they can actually soften up in extreme times, which is the reason why, or part of the reason why, you can't really test ingots for hardness.
But you're not going to go wrong with your wheel weights for pistol and rifle in the beginning. But when you start pushing them faster, just like CW said, you want them to be hard through and through, not just quenched hardened.
Clip-on wheel weights are just God's gift to casters. You can do everything you ever
It's
need.
easy. Keep it simple. Just run it. Run your wheel weights to clip on, and
they're perfect. We used to use them here. That's what I started with.
Clip-on.
We can't get them here in
clip-on.
California anymore.
If you're picking up the stick-on with the foam sticky on the back, those tend to run a lot softer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're
not as hard. So I wouldn't mix them.
Nope.
I'd keep them separate and
mark your ingots
as such, because they're not the same hardness, and you'll just be diluting your harder alloy. Soft alloy tends to be an easy thing to get. Most people can get it. It's not a big deal. The harder alloys are the ones that are more expensive and the ones that are harder to find. So, kind of cherish that harder stuff. Don't dilute it. You can always dilute it in your pot at a smaller level.
Yep.
Dilute 10 pounds and make up some bullets that are soft. Don't take your 40-pound smelting pot and make it all soft, and then how do I get hard?
Got another question then. So when you said on your 22 caliber bullets you wanted them a lot harder, is it because of the speed you're pushing them at then versus what you would be like on a handgun round?
The pressure, yeah.
Partially, yes. Speed generally denotes pressure, and pressure requires a harder bullet.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm asking these questions for a reason. So
Absolutely.
If that bullet was too soft, would it possibly cause? It's going to cause accuracy issues, and could it possibly cause keyholing?
Not keyholing per se. I mean, yeah, anything's possible. If it strips the rifling and it's totally unstable, sure, it's a possibility. But more likely, it's just not a stable bullet molecularly or internally. All the stresses that are put upon that bullet going down the barrel are a lot more than anybody realizes, and that's part of the reason why cast bullet data is different than jacketed data. It's just not as structurally strong material as copper jackets are.
G23 had a question. He was asking, do we need to let our bullets rest for 2 months after we cast them before we load them?
I would say that's excessive.
Yeah.
I would say at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would say, a week or two is probably a better.
Mhm.
You can certainly shoot them faster. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not going to be, awful, but you
Yeah.
will probably see an improvement in accuracy if you were to compare just cast with something that's set a couple weeks. Again, depending on alloy, depending on the pressures you're shooting it at, depending on a lot of different things. But if everything was equal, I think you'd be better off letting them season.
Yeah.
And
And
letting
they
Couple
them,
settle in. They settle in a couple weeks, and like you said, more consistent.
Mhm.
Going back to the stick-on wheel weights, those are good for shot, slugs for your shotguns, and definitely muzzle loaders and stuff like that. I try to keep them for that reason there.
I'll save him for the 410 I'm getting ready to do.
There you go.
There you
Good
go.
call.
I use those as a base, and then add stick on into that. Like I'll not quite half and half, really. More about I guess 3/5 stick on and 2/5 clip on for my um, for my pistol rounds. But for rifle rounds, I have taken clip on wheel weights and added a pound of linotype to it, casted those, and I was ending up at around 20, 21 BHM, 22 BHM, according to the pencil test, and that's what I killed that deer with, and it was way too hard. It went through one deer and into another one. I had 2 dead deer right there.
Hmm.
And what you want is you want expansion. You want that. You want your target to absorb that energy, and that's what we call what's referred to as knockdown power.
Yeah, the whole hardness thing that comes with time when you start learning, after you figure out how to run the molds and how your pot behaves and that kind of stuff and how to make a good looking bullet. You can start looking at more of the science end, Buck, about hardness, and I think it might have been Mark Thomas. Somebody mentioned about leading of the barrel can happen also if the hardness is incorrect for the velocity that you're using, but that's not going to happen with your Lyman number 2 in your pistol rounds at all. That's not going to be a problem. I mean, you can get barrel leading with an alloy that's too hard also, but it tends to be more of an issue if it's too soft. But you'll figure that out. And that Lyman book has got a lot of information in it about exactly what we're talking about the bullet hardness and for the particular application, how hard does it need to be? The only thing that the current Lyman book doesn't address is our newer trends towards powder coating. And we've all discovered that with a powder coated bullet, you can get by with a bullet alloy that's not quite as hard as we used to run it with traditional lubing. Mm-hmm. So, and some of the data that the Lyman cast bullet handbook has, they suggest a Lyman number 2. But if you're running powder coated bullets, you can get away just fine with wheel weights or range. I use range scrap for most of my handgun bullet rounds, except for Magnum. Then I harden it up with some other alloying materials. But I take my range scrap that I mine right out of the berm at the gun club, bring it home, smelt off the jackets, clean it up, cast it into ingots, and as I throw it into the pot, I add a couple little nuggets of tin. And that helps a little bit with the flow out. Doesn't increase the hardness. I don't put enough in there to do anything like that, but it does help the metal flow into our lube grooves and stuff better.
That's an excellent point to bring up too. You always take your time and go through each process and figure it out as you go. You don't want to just run with someone else's load data or how they set things up. You always want to make sure you're doing it for yourself and getting yourself squared away.
I don't know about you guys. I'm all excited about Buck getting ready to start casting. It's always just fun to see somebody else come into the hobby and the process, and it's certainly got more going for a new caster today than it did when really old guys like me and Jamie started casting 40, 50 years ago, and there wasn't anybody, or you might have one guy in your town if you were in a little town like me who knew how to do it, and there wasn't any internet and there wasn't any videos, and it was a different ball game back then, but we certainly got lots of tools now. It's exciting.
You mean you had to actually read the first part of the reloading manuals?
You had to read that stuff, man.
I just looked at the pictures.
Yeah.
Let me show Ronnie this and see if this is what he's looking for here for a second, guys. He had made a mention about a manual in the beginning.
Oh,
Is that
Yep.
the one that you're looking for?
That's the new one, right?
no, that's
This is the first one.
I think the 4th edition's out now.
yeah, we're on the 4th. And the 4th's been out for a long time. They're overdue
Is that
for
the
a new
blue
one.
one? The blue covered one?
Yes.
No, this is the first one.
Yeah, the 4th is the
current
blue
one?
cover.
Yeah, the current one is the blue one.
So G23, it's like this, buddy. The sooner after you cast your bullets, you size them, the better off you're going to be, because as they sit there and get harder and harder, like KFW said earlier, the longer they sit there and get harder, the harder it's going to be to size them. So, Chris, I wanted to tell a story, and I thought of you when this happened to me, and I'm going to bump this off here.
Run, run.
You remember a week or so ago, my dad was in the hospital. I think I told you about that. Told you all about that.
Yep.
He was. I was over there visiting one night, and I came out and started walking to my truck, and this guy was over in the shadows, back behind me and to my right, and I saw him before I walked out the door, and he thought I didn't see him. And as I walked by him, and he started trying to stay in my blind spot and follow me to my truck. And I turned around and I said, "You go on about your way, buddy, because you ain't going to like the results." And he turned around and ran back to the car, and his mama and his sisters were over there in the car. And I'm like, "What in the world do you think you're doing, man? You want to do something like this? You know what's going through my mind, I'm fixing to get hit with something and my wallet's stolen or whatever." And I'm like, "You're going to do something like this with your little sisters and your mom watching?" Man. But I thought, there's every time I needed to be training with my handgun, that's about right now, because I was reaching for it.
Training is very important, Jamie. I spent about 40 minutes tonight just holster drawing and dry firing, just to stay up on it.
Generally speaking, slugs are pure lead or close to it, and buckshot's not a whole lot harder, and shotgun shot is not a whole lot harder. But Thorzak's the man that's asked to that. I think you could get by pure lead in all three forms of shotgun. Am I right, CW?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I got another question. Over on Roto Metals, they got, different types of ingots and stuff. What is that 1 to 20, 1 to 30? What is all that?
Lead to tin ratio.
Pure lead
Oh,
with tin.
Oh, okay.
Well, then you bring up another point. We need to point out that tin does not make your lead harder.
Well, it does, but it's a
A
poor
little
choice
bit.
for hardening lead.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very minor difference.
It's more to help run out, fill in your mold. Makes the lead flow more better,
More better, more gooder.
more good.
Yeah, and if you look, spend a little bit more time going through your Lyman cast bullet handbook there, Buck, you'll see on some of the data sections for the different bullets, they list the alloy that they suggest, and sometimes you'll see a 1 to 10 or a 1 to 20, or it'll say Lyman number 2. That's kind of the ones that they tend to use for different applications. But they're all three of those are pretty common. A 1 to 16 used to be pretty common. I don't know if anybody uses that anymore, but it's
It was the old Keith hard bullet,
yeah,
Magnum alloy. That was.
yeah, it relates to the hardness of the bullet.
I don't know, Tactical Fud, if you're prepared. I'm sure you are. But when it comes to the loading side, I know we're talking about casting, but if we're going to get these bullets sized up pretty quick for pistol and stuff, remember you're going to go a couple points above diameter. I had to buy a couple different sizers for my lead bullets, just to find my happy place with some of the pistols I had. So that might be another rabbit hole to go down one week. But
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about that earlier.
yeah,
Now, do you already have size and dies?
Yeah, well, I got a 308 and one for the 45.
I mean, you just got the Lee kits. Is that what you did?
Yeah, the little kit got the little plastic tub on it.
Just be careful if you have guys come over to help you slug a barrel.
Oh my God! Are you serious?
There are a few people here in this chat.
Somebody mute him. Mute him.
That they say they've done this 1,000 times, and then they come
I had
over
no
and
dog in
they
that
take your
race.
gun and they go to
Property that
slug
it
the
was done.
barrel, and next thing you know, you're
Boo.
barrel. So
I was outside
just be
smoking a
careful.
cigarette, and I came back inside, and all hell had broken loose. But if you expand into more calibers and stuff, Buck, I recommend getting the NOE size and die because you can just buy the insert for like $6. You buy the
And they have a lot wider choices of
yeah,
sizes.
so you can get
Yeah.
any size that you want.
Well, really, the only thing like I said, I got the 308 for the 300 blackout, and I ain't got no bullets for that yet, so I ain't made none yet. And the 452 I got, I think I used that before with some bullets I had around here.
I mean, I used those Lee kits for years. Then I got turned on to. Actually, it was when I got my first 44 Magnum, and I slugged the barrel without getting it stuck. And
Imagine that.
And I wanted a 432.5, and so I looked at I think it was Full Lead Taco told me about the NOE size and die, and you can buy all these inserts. Well, you go online, there it is, 432.5. So I ordered it, and since then I've gotten 3 or 4 different inserts for that die, and it's a whole lot cheaper than paying that $25 for the Lee kit. You buy the die once, and then you just buy a $6 or $7 insert.
Yeah,
So-
I'm going to have to step up on that size and die stuff.
That's just my humble opinion, but that's why I asked if you'd already bought sizing. stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you haven't bought a ton of them or anything, go with the NOE. When I first started, I bought all the Lee stuff, and now I'm working on trying to get rid of it because I have all NOE and it's so much easier.
I got to order some 8 millimeter sizing inserts. Some I need to get some for some SKSs and some Mauser or not Mausers, Mosins. I got to buy a couple more inserts, but it's cheaper to spend $7 a piece than $25 a piece.
Right. And
But that,
Ozark,
but as you're
Ozark
starting,
mentions that Lee has the insert style now too. They just don't have as wide a selection as NOE does.
Right.
Does NOE make a like a kit that has all the fittings in there you need?
They make a basic kit to which you add the bushing sizes that you need.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get the kit and then you add the bushings as you need that particular size. You just buy that size bushing and you're good to go.
I think when
Okay,
you
yeah.
order the sizing die itself, they'll send you uh, one free bushing. So
Yeah,
you just
I believe you're right.
pick the one you want. But the good thing is, me having all the Lee ones that I do have, I've got pushing stems for to run them through the NOE die, so I didn't have to buy those.
Yeah. Yeah. Lee gives you the push rod with their die, whether it's the old style or the new style bushing type. NOE says you got to supply your own stem, or we'll sell one to you for another $6 or something. So that adds to the cost. But the Lee type worked just fine with the NOE type, and if you got a 45 caliber size ram, that'll work with
Yeah.
all your 45 caliber bullets that you're sizing. So
The only issues I've had with those stems not being properly sized is with gas checks.
yes,
Right.
that's another
Sometimes
story.
you need the proper size if you're going to
Yep.
be seating gas checks. If you're not,
Exactly.
you can probably get away with different sizes that are close.
Now that
I have a 40.
one,
For all the 40s I shoot, I use a 357.
yeah, that one bullet I got for the 300 blackout is a gas check, and I bought the NOE gas check uh
Peter.
die, but I had no idea what kind of the punch thing I need, the top punch. I have no clue. I don't know. That's all I know about it.
Generally, you put the gas check on the bottom of the bullet. This is the way I do it, and sit the bullet on top of the stem and just tap it on the die a couple of times. Because you have to force it through the sizing die.
Yeah, that's
Tap
what he
it on.
needs. He needs a top punch.
Yeah.
CW did a pretty good video, actually a couple videos, fairly recently, like just within the last month or so,
Yeah, I
about
seen them, but
about
I
seating
bought,
gas checks.
yeah, but that trying to pick out the right die for it because you need
Yeah,
to go with your bullet, right?
you need the correct top punch.
Yeah.
Y'all keep saying top punch. Are y'all talking about using the old like RCBS stick lubicizers?
Exactly.
It's the same top punch. Yeah, Lyman RCBS.
So Chico's talking about he's using the lead bushings, and I do too. Let me enlarge this, and then we got to start getting ready to get off of here.
Wow.
So basically, and this feels like I want to be generous and call it aluminum, but it feels like spray painted plastic, really.
It does. You're right. That's the newer one. The first ones they put out were a little stronger than that, but
So anyway, this is what they call their what do they call it, Walter? Uh, I want to say quick change bushing, but
Yeah, breech
that's
lock.
the Hornady breech lock. Yeah, and I have a breech lock adapter in my RCBS rock
The
chucker.
one, yeah, the
I
one
got the
they put
same
out
thing.
with their kit though is different from their regular breech lock bushings from Lee. This
Okay,
one's got
so
an extra shoulder in it.
you got this, and then you take the collar and drop it down in there, whatever size you want, and then screw this back down on there, and then pop it in your press, and then you can seat just like you do uh, with with the NOE or the regularly kit, and it comes in a pack that looks like this, and it's got the bushing that goes inside this and the stem already inside there. And I'm kind of like Chico. You know, how many of these do you need? I mean, every time you buy one, like this is a 431, this is a 430. So, you know, you just keep buying them and keep getting them and you keep accumulating them. But that is much more economical than the Lee kits or the NOE. I mean, I think this was $15. And if you have to have the reach lock adapter, and you're going to be shocked because it's plastic. I'll just tell you right now, it's plastic. But if you want to go cheap, uh, that's an alternative. I kind of like the NOE stuff, but then again, Ozark said that their push through things are aluminum, and he's had them bend over and malform.
I'm sure you can call folks over at NOE and they'll send you a new bushing if that does happen. I've had some that were hard to get through there.
Yeah, but what if you're like Chris and Gene and you got a match and all of a sudden,
That's when I use some lube on my bullets, and I push them through fast.
Buck, what bullet are you going to be gas checking for the blackout?
Let's see. Here's C309-R60-R.
Okay,
Is
so
this-
it's a pointed bullet.
Yeah,
The Lees are tough. You can probably. I've never bought a top punch for a Lee specific bullet. I'm sure somebody makes them. With the Lymans, you just use the last 3 digits for a top punch. But one that may work. I don't have that bullet. I find it too ogivy, for lack of a better word, for powder coating with a lot of calibers. But the Lyman 311-413 is a Spitzer bullet of a similar profile, and it may work out for that bullet as well. I know that's got a blunter tip, so I'm not 100% on it working. But if you do a Google search on the 311-413 bullet, you'll pull up some pictures and you can compare it.
311.
413.
All right. Yeah.
And then you can get them. You can get the top punches at Midway or any one of the companies that sell reloading stuff, casting stuff. Brownells, them. There's probably a bunch of other ones that will have it.
All right.
But you could also search
Well,
top punches for Lee specific molds, and something may pop up. I just have never bought them. I've got a whole pile of top punches from 30 years of casting that I just search through until I find one I like how it fits and I use it. So I don't even know what number I'm using. I just dig through in my boxes and pull one out, and there we go. That's what I use.
I only have one, so I've got to collect a few. We lose the Scotsman.
Yeah, he dropped out. Hopefully he's in the side chat.
I'm hoping he's going to go get some rest.
You know,
But-
there is so much stuff that I need for reloading. I mean, little tidbits and pieces. and I purchase as I move along and progress through my reloading processes and find what I do need to complete them. So,
There's a difference between what you need and what you want.
yes,
I mean,
I
like
want
Lee had them,
I want a lot, but I need very little.
right. Lee had them, what do they call them? Hand loaders or whatever came in the box. It was a stick and a piece of metal.
Yeah, yeah, the Lee loaders.
Yeah,
But
used a hammer to drive the primer in. And
Yeah, I still got half a dozen sets, so they're kind of fun to use once in a while.
But
I've never even
that's all you need
Right,
to reload. But the want, whew.
right.
and they're not very expedient. It takes a long time to make a cartridge for that.
So Buck, coming from a guy that's I'm on a budget friendly kind of frame of mind. Get what you need. The Lee sizers are fine for now. If you want to progress into this further and further and further and go down that rabbit hole even more, add to your arsenal as you move along, but learn the processes very simply first before you start getting too heavy into it and becoming overwhelmed.
that's exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Well, sometimes I just get excited and jump before I ask questions.
Buck, here's a good thing for you to do. Go to the Full Lead Taco channel and watch. He's got a playlist of the Taco Apocalypse where everybody had to cast their own bullet and load a bullet.
He had a lot of videos taken down, so he may not have everything there. He's been
Oh.
repopulating Rumble with some, but I know he took some pretty hard hits with strikes and such.
Yeah, but it was funny watching people lube their bullets with bacon grease and loading bullets on a tree stump.
Also, Buck, when we're done here, don't click off. Stick around. We can talk a little bit after.
Oh yeah, I am. I told you this might be a 4-hour show.
It could easily be.
I warned y'all from the start.
Well, we'll just have to do it again after you tried it a couple times, because then you're going to have. You think you got questions now? Wait till after
Yeah,
that
I
first
know.
casting session.
I'll
come
sum
back
it
and
up
do
with
it
one
again.
word: oh, jive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I can answer
Cornbread.
that for you, Walks Fletcher. You don't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes
You get what
you
you
get
need.
what you need.
That'd make,
Hey,
a good song.
there's a song in there somewhere.
That'd make a good song.
Yeah, it would. Kind of catchy.
Yeah. Throw in a pickup truck and some bad weather, and you got yourself a country song.
Yeah,
Only if the
it's
forks
just
are
like when I
small,
started reloading. I went out and bought the damn progressive press, and I tried to set that thing up and tried to make a load. Nah, I went back and bought me a single stage press.
Now,
Matter
see,
of fact,
Buck, I started on a progressive press, and I just took my time and worked on each station until I got it to where I could just kick them out.
Yeah, I couldn't wait. I was excited. I just
yeah.
went and got me a single stage press and did everything by hand. One step at a time.
And no matter how
Now I
fancy
finally
you
got it
get
set up.
later,
Yeah, now I got the progressive set up for 9mm, so I'm happy with
no
it.
matter how fancy you get later, those basic items you get in the beginning will always be used.
Oh yeah,
Everybody
Exactly.
needs a single stage press.
Every
Yep.
reloader I know has a single stage, some type of turret, and a progressive.
Not yet.
yeah. That's another thing. I want to get one of them turrets.
What do you mean, single stage? What is this?
Yeah, just one.
One?
3 plus 2. I mean,
Yeah.
And you saw that commercial, the outbeats the rent-a-car commercial.
So
Anyway, we got to start going through the room and get out of here. G23 is Gizzard Gary doing a show tonight?
Yeah, no, I don't think he's doing it tonight. I think he's going to be out of town tonight.
Well,
When it
we
comes to
might-
single stage, 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Well, Michael Dunn, I'll tell you what, I still don't have a prep center. I still do every process by hand.
Man, that's one thing I'm going to graduate to as a prep center because it's
Me, I've been looking at them. I got one in my eBay cart.
There's a couple really good ones. You know, the Lyman is a nice unit. I've got the RCBS Big Boss. Then the Frankfurt makes one that's on an angle.
every time
They're nice. Wait for them to go on sale and grab one.
every time I get ready to buy one, I end up buying components instead of that tool.
Oh yeah, there's that.
I've got the Lyman and I love it.
So do I.
Co-worker of mine uses the Frankfurt Arsenal, and the case trimming feature on the Frankfurt Arsenal is very nice. You can blow through some trimming.
That's where it's at too. Trimming takes most time out of all the prep stages.
I liked the RCBS when I looked into them because number one, it's got one extra station over most of them, and 2 of the stations run at different speeds than the other 4. So I get higher speeds for less. I can set it at a certain speed for one, and I get a higher speed on another without changing anything.
That's nice.
Yeah, I thought it was real, and I like it. You know, it's nice for trimming cases.
I'm
I
gonna
use
look
the
at
lead
that one now.
It works really good.
I really like my Lyman.
The Lymans are really nice. Yeah.
But I have borrowed Jordan's Frankfurt Arsenal several times. If I've got a bucket full of 308 brass or 223 or something like that to trim up, because it's amazingly fast.
Yeah, I think it's a little nicer trimmer. It's more like the little crow trimmer style. Not quite as precise, but it works really well. I think it's a little better than the Lee because you don't have to use a shell holder. The Lee works off the shell holder in their stop, but I don't use it for high volume. If I've got a lot to do, I'll use my Lyman power trimmer. You know, but just for a few cases for a box of shells or something, I'll use that with the Lee, and it works really good.
Yeah, sit there and watch a episode of Andy Griffith or something, and next thing you know, you got 100 rounds trimmed up.
Yep.
Look at this. Talk about a man pole mouthing. After he done said he was too pretty to go to jail. Talking about he just got his first turd after 5 years, and then Ozark blows the whistle on him. So there's that. What kind of single stage press do you have, Tin Man? Yeah, I use that Lee outfit, that little black thing, and then I have to put them in there one at a time. It'd be nice to have a different trimming function on the Lyman. That's the only thing I've got against it. But the Lee will work. It's just rough on your hands after about 200 of them.
Yeah, you got to work gloves, and then everything gets wompy jawed.
Hey, a good pair of Harbor Freight grip gloves. Hey, I'm okay.
Yep. There you go. Save your fingers.
Do y'all want to stay on 30 more minutes? Y'all want to wrap it up?
Gary's not having a show, so you're not going to be running over on anybody.
I'm good either way, brother.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
fine by me.
I'm
Let's
in
try
for the
30
long
more
haul.
minutes. What do you guys say in the side chat? 30 more minutes?
And Mac Man, yes, sir, I did. They showed up yesterday. It took me 20 minutes to open that box with a knife in it.
You need a sharper knife, Kyle.
No, I have sharp knives. They just had the crap taped out of that box. I finally ended up just sawing through it.
You need that little alpha that I had in my last video there last week.
Oh,
No, Pollard, a man's got to know his limitations.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that. I could never do that.
8 hours.
What could you have to talk about for 8 hours?
I tried to talk G23 into doing a show after this, but he didn't want to do it. So
Tried to talk to who?
I tried to talk G23 into doing a show after this, but he said he didn't want to tonight.
Should I'll do one with you, Chris? What's
Yeah, I
up
don't
now?
know. Go on about 11.
Oh hell, I can talk bullet casting all day long.
I'm not going to be too good for that chat.
Exactly.
So Chris,
Exactly.
Chris, have you learned anything about casting tonight? Is that
Oh, I've
something-
learned a lot. Yeah, I've just been kind of sitting back listening.
Guys,
That's
I've officially joined the club. I now have a mech reloading press.
Which one?
I gotta get me one of those.
Which one did you get,
it's,
Kyle?
it's one I got from MacMan, 12 gauge.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go. Don't make no damn videos of that. I'll be reloading 12 gauge. Damn.
That's a totally different animal.
CW
That
makes it look so easy.
But
You don't need no
me tell you,
special
brother,
tools.
let me tell you, brother, a little mistake can mean a lot of harm.
Buy yourself an adjustable charge bar, Kyle.
I loaded
Yep.
up some. It's got an adjustable charge bar.
Perfect.
I loaded up some by hand, charging them by hand, and all that. Some slugs that I cast, and we took them to shoot them when all the guys were here, and I shot like 3 of them. I was like, "Holy Lord!" And I let Willie shoot one, and I said, "Here, shoot another one." He said, "Nope, thanks." And then Mark shot one. He goes, "Jesus!" They were a little warm.
I'm a recoil junkie. I love that stuff.
Hey,
Yeah,
all,
Will,
all
you
shotgun
need-
primers are the same thing, ain't they?
209.
Today, 209s are pretty much across the board, but there's little differences. 57s are long gone. 56s are long gone. That was the old smaller size.
Look at that. Size Master 82 for $10. I don't care what gauge it's in. I can buy more stuff.
They do, Marvin. They make 160 grain FTX for the 35 Legend, 350 Legend.
Ozark was looking at his local Bass Pro the other day, and he sent us some pictures of the Hornady. What is that? Let me back up here. I got you, Ozark. And no garage guy would have no desire to be on here for 11 hours. We'd be falling out. And
I'm fixing to take a back pill and call it a night here in a little bit.
Sub X is what they're called. They're like the FTXs.
Yeah, they're subsonic. They made to expand at subsonic velocities. I played with them in 30. They worked.
FTX and a 356 diameter, about 170 grain. That would be pretty cool.
They make I think it's a 165 they make.
Is that the bullet that can be used in a tubular magazine?
Yes.
Okay. Which, I mean, it doesn't matter. I cast bullets for everything that I own, so.
I know. That's what we all try to do.
we were dismantling the reloading room a while back, and Angel was helping me get everything cleaned up and packed up and all that stuff, get ready to take it down to the basement. And she goes, "How many of these molds do you have?" I said, "Not as many as a lot of people." You're like, "There's a whole box full of them."
Dang, James, I can't believe that, man. Johnny's reloading bench did 24 hours when he hit 1 million followers.
I
That's
remember
ridiculous.
that. I watched the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes, and there was a big difference.
I bet.
I bet you his hands got tied around it just, from swinging and shit. Every time I see him, his hands always just swinging
Yeah.
and tapping on something.
Thanks, Chico. Come on in if you get done, man.
Yeah, when I first started reloading, I asked Scotsman who would, you know, where should I start? He told me, he said, go to Johnny's reloading bench. He has a whole series on reloading 9mm. So that's pretty much where I got started at watching him.
If you want to watch some good casting videos, I don't know if his channel's still up or not. Flyer 556. He's got some real good beginner. You know, this this is what your mold's telling you. If it's doing this, it's this. This is the problem. This is what you need to do to fix it. But it's Flyer 556. Let me see if I can pull it up right quick. See if his channel even still up.
I didn't even hear of that, Tommy boy. I have to look into that. 360 buck hammer, huh?
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
It's a new 35 caliber. Huh.
And what makes it better than a 350 Legend in an AR is it's in a lever action.
Yeah, a nice rimmed case. It's a 30-30.
Yeah.
Be good for single shots too.
Yeah, I even went out and bought, it's going to give me a bolt action rifle. I wanted the 350 Legend or the 450 Bushmaster. So I couldn't figure out which one I wanted, so I just ended up getting both of them.
Yeah, I figured, Tommy boy. Proper 35 caliber.
Exactly. Think of the bullets, man. All those molds we have for 38, 357 Magnum.
Yeah, I got to look into that. That's interesting. I love 35 calibers, so it's not hard for me to like that one.
Okay, yeah, his channel is still up. It's FLIER 556, no space.
All right, thank you. I have to look into that one.
Yep, he's got some good ones. He does 9mm, 45, Lee 6 cavity molds, 2 cavity molds. This is what to look for. Taught me a lot when I started.
You know, 35 Remington doesn't need to be replaced. In my mind, all it needs to be done is they need to make more ammunition and they need to make a bolt action rifle for it.
Exactly.
That's all 35 Remington needs.
It is a classic.
Yeah, what rifle are they going to be shooting it in, Tommy boy?
Yeah, he said it was made for lever actions. But you're right, Remington doesn't make one, so.
JCM just said his channel's up, but his casting videos are gone. Dag nabbit.
Yeah, YouTube's getting funny about that.
And these are from 5-8 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, that's what Walk said. He said he's gone dark for 5 years. I don't know when his last posting was, but
That's why I hadn't been doing my Saturday morning or Sunday morning live chats, sitting out there by the casting pot, just shooting it with everybody, you know.
well, Broke Loader lost a channel or two for it. I lost a channel to it. There's a lot of people who've lost. Uncle Jim, all from cast.
I've been dinged.
That's why I started a backup channel just in case. You know, they can go through mine. I've got a lot of questionable stuff on mine in the beginning. And if they decide to like blast me out, I've still got one up.
Yeah, I can't believe we're not.
I had
on
done the same thing.
Jim 5.
Got a backup channel waiting.
Yeah, they dinged me and I ain't even casted bullets yet. I got a warning. I had one of my grandsons. He was out there shooting a 22, and they said they gave me a warning for it.
That's
Kids'
interesting.
safety.
A guy that I watch for news and stuff like that, because there's no opinions. This is the news. This is what happened, you know. And they suspended him for a week. You know, gave him a strike, suspended him for a week for reporting statistics off of a government website. He finally came back and he was like, I just don't get it.
Disinformation, Kyle.
Right. Yeah. Disinformation.
Yeah, so Tommy Boy says Ruger will be making that rifle, but I used to watch Jiu-Jitsu 2000.
Yeah, I'm sub to him.
Oh
I was
yeah.
Yeah,
just
me
watching
too.
a video of his today. Matter of fact, it's right here.
Matter of fact, I was watching some of his videos when I was building my reloading table.
Reloading
idea.
50 rounds of 45 long Colt with cast bullets from start to finish.
Henry's working on it right now. Ooh.
Yep.
One thing about it, man, these Ruger Marlins that are coming out right now, the price is unreal. I think.
What are they going for?
I'll find one and share it.
Yeah, Tin Man, you ain't wrong. We tried to get him a strike. That's when Uncle Jim went, ooh, that chrome AK-47 looks awesome with that folding stock on it. Oh man. I don't understand what's going on. We're not making or manufacturing anything. We didn't make the wheel weights. We're just transforming them. We didn't make the molds. We didn't make the pots. We didn't make the presses. We didn't make the dies. All we're doing is transforming components.
Yeah, they don't get it. You know, when you get a strike, they don't tell you why they struck that particular video. They just say it violates our policies. That's all they'll tell you. They don't say, you know, that it was because bullet casting and we think a cast bullet is ammunition. They won't even say that. They said just no, you violated our policy, so you can't do anything for 2 weeks, and then the next time you're done.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was in Tulsa, one of our friends, Ghost Tactical, his Instagram, they shut him down right then and there, and Facebook, and they wouldn't give him no answer why.
I got to looking through my channel and they've see, I've got a couple of different emails associated with YouTube, and I never go to the one that the channel is actually registered under. But I opened it up the other day, and they pulled videos from like 5 years ago. I was like, what?
Yeah, the one they
They said,
pulled off me.
we're not giving you a strike. We're just deleting the video.
Yeah, that's basically what they did to me. That's when I first started YouTube, probably about 5 years ago.
Y'all ain't gonna believe what I found.
Oh Lord.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
I'm about to say you're right. We won't until you tell us.
For a minute there, I
No,
thought it froze up.
That'd be better to show you.
Dang.
Look at those prices.
Hang on, let me blow it up. I can't see it.
Well, the blued 336 isn't terrible. That's a decent price.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but I've been seeing them. This is obviously an old post. So there ain't nothing available.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a 35 Remington for $650.
I don't think they've released all these yet. They're probably just posting them.
Get everybody excited.
But yeah,
Yeah.
because Ruger posted that they're going to do, this date, this one, this date, this one, this date, this one. So they probably just got them all cataloged, but they haven't really started making them yet.
I think
That's
this is a post from a page from pre-COVID days.
Suggested
Lord.
retail could be too.
Let me see if I can find something more recent.
And I had my screen blew up, and I was trying to take my mouse and scroll down. I remember Jamie had it up, not me.
Oh, Jamie, I got to show you a shirt.
I think I saw it.
That's my screensaver, Kyle. My laptop.
You got
Yeah,
a
you
picture
were
of
talking
Kyle on
about-
your screensaver?
You're talking about those. I really, really want to get like on my short list of guns, and I don't care if it's one of the new Marlins or Henry, but I want an all-weather 4570. So we had a brand new gun store open up in Marion, where I live, about a week ago. I went in there last night. He had one hanging up there, and I was like, oh, it was a Henry. $1,999.
Holy bat flaps.
So I was all excited. I saw it hanging there, and I'm like, oh, man, there's one. And then, nope. I'm like,
I was
I
looking at
can't
one
pay
of those,
that.
one of those Henry all weathers in 44 mag, and I ended up settling on the chrome one, just because I liked it better. And hell, it was still expensive. That's a good looking rifle, but
That's beautiful. Look at that large loop on there.
I don't need that rail. Well, I guess I can put a scope on it. I don't need that long of a scale.
You just got a new red dot you put on there.
What about that?
I'm not ready for a red dot on a lever gun yet.
This is sportsmanswarehouse.com, I think. Let's see. Sportsman's Warehouse says it's out of stock in Chattanooga. And that's because of that price. Most of them I've been seeing are in the $1,500 to $2,000 range.
Yeah, Tommy Boy just said there's 1475.
Yeah. GGW says 1,600.
What are we hearing about their quality? Like, is the quality?
Oh,
I know it's not worth 14, but is it smooth? Everything polished? Everything good?
Haven't heard any negative.
Yeah.
I haven't either, and if it wasn't up to Ruger standards, I wouldn't be putting it out. So
Good
But
deal.
what do y'all think about the new High Point 10mm pistol?
That thing looks good.
I just heard about it. Chris has got some. What do you got there for the high point? That's a kit on it, or is that the way it came?
Nah, that's a high tower armory kit on mine, but I'm gonna try to get my hands on one. I put a link in my community page last night. My buddy Andrew, Gene knows him real well. It shoots with us. He's one of the owners of Vance's down in Columbus. He reviewed one last night, and I don't know if they have them for sale yet. Normally, he gets the guns 3 or 4 weeks early at the shop before they're allowed to sell them. But it actually shot really well, and he actually brought some of his super hot hand loads in and shot through it, and it handled it just fine. So, talk $225 10mm. Ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but
I'm game in that thinking I can Cerakote that thing, give it a nice paint job, and we'd be good to go.
I'll send
I've
that slide
never
off
had-
and have it milled in a heartbeat.
I tell you,
Oh,
when they came out, when the high points came out, we're just starting to sell. We had somebody bring one into the store and wanted to trade it in, and we didn't want it. One of the guys, as a joke, traded him a box of bullets for it, and the guy took it. We had that gun. I shot that thing with everything I could find, and could never make it. Fail to fire, have a blip, have a feeding problem, anything. It was a brick. It was awful. It was ugly, but it shot all the time, every time. And we put probably tens of thousands of rounds through that. We had it as a range rental, and I would shoot that thing all the time. Everybody would just take it and shoot it to try and break it. Couldn't. It just ran and ran and ran and ran and ran with everything. Hollow points, ball, didn't make any difference. Steel jacket, everything.
But yet they're the most hated gun on YouTube and in Gunland.
Oh yeah.
I was sitting there reading the side chat, and everybody's saying exactly what I was about to say. They look like a toy, they feel like a toy, and all that, but them things will run all day. They feel like a piece of junk in your hand.
That's how I felt about that PMR 30, that 22 Magnum PMR 30. I didn't buy that the first two I had in my hand because it felt like a squirt pistol.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. It just
Yeah, I got one of
couldn't
those.
do
I
it.
like
That's a great way to phrase that. It feels like a squirt gun.
It felt like a squirt gun. It weighs nothing. It's all plastic. I did finally buy one, and I like it a lot. It shoots really good. It's not crazy accurate, but it's accurate enough. It's reliable. It shoots. I like it a lot, but it took a lot for me to buy it because it literally was. This is not a gun. This is a plastic piece of junk.
That trigger on there is awesome, though.
It's got a really nice trigger.
Yeah.
Really nice trigger.
Reloader 762. I actually went to a gun store many moons ago to buy a high point carbine in 45. And I ended up walking out of there with my 308. They were losing their gun license because of something that happened before they even owned the store. Somebody sold a handgun to somebody that lived in New York State, and they were getting their FFL pulled, so they had to sell everything. And that's when I bought my 308.
Hey,
So I
Chris.
think
Chris, was that high point 10? The 10mm one, is that 10 rounds in that too, or?
Yeah, because honestly, I think I might just buy one because all the mags that I have for my carbine will work in that pistol. So
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having one.
just something to play around with.
CW, I sent you a picture. Maybe you could post it up here just so people could see it. It's kind of neat looking. It's still big and heavy and ugly, but better than what it used to be. My first handgun I bought was a C9, the High Point C9.
Yeah, mine too.
High Point's biggest
I love
problem is
mine.
they do not do double stack magazines.
Right.
If High Point would step it up and do double stack magazines, figure it out at least, they go a lot further.
They got excellent customer service. I'm sure he hasn't spent a lot of money on tooling and changing machinery, so he's doing good, or they're doing good. But yeah, like you said, step up in the game.
Their customer service is amazing. I mean, if you call them and tell them you got a broken part, they're sending you 2 or 3. I mean,
Yeah.
no questions asked.
Yeah, exactly.
I broke firing pins in my 9mm, and they'll just ship in my carbine. I've never even shot one of their pistols before.
Yeah, they sent me a ghost ring when I just asked them a question about it. I was like, I'm just wondering.
He said it looks like a cordless drill, but it works.
It does look like a cordless drill.
Yeah, remote control hole puncher.
Oh,
Yeah, the one I had come with the ghost ring. And the
Yeah, some of them did. I bought mine at the gun shop used, so that's why mine didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But they sent it to me, and I've got it on there, and it's a fun range toy. I've got it in an old pickup truck, and when I'm ever running around goofing off, I'll take it
The
out.
only
and
thing
shoot
I
it.
don't like about it is the weight. If they could lighten it up a little bit by
Yeah.
10 pounds, shit, I'll use it every day.
Light it up, 10
Get
pounds.
that slide milled. Have
Man,
that
you got to
slide
mill a
milled,
whole lot off of that.
and then
The
send it to
cordless
me, and I'll
12-volt
Cerakote it for you in a
cartridge
nice camo paint job.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a search for that. So now we've been on here 30 more minutes, so we better start going through the room. I'd like Chico's that 45 Colt he's got, the Rossi and 45 Colt. He's had a little bit of stuff going on with that. I hope he gets it straightened out.
Mine runs good. I can
Chico's got
cases of mine.
my problem with my brother Chico and the lever actions is he don't have a revolver to go with him, and it's kind of like, yeah, gotta have a revolver, man. It got so bad one time. Mock, the pistol you have.
Yeah.
I told you. I'm like, here, man, play with this for a while. If I need it, I'll call you. If not, bring it back when you get tired of it. And he had it for probably a year or so. And it was that 357 Magnum, and I wanted him to see what having a revolver and a lever action that shot the same cartridge was like. I mean, that was the idea behind them way back in the day. But anyway.
Yeah. I'm backwards. I got the revolver and no lever gun yet.
You got to make sure the carpet matches the drapes.
Yep, I got both in 45 long Colt. Got to have one of each. If you got it in one, you got to have it in the other.
Yeah.
The only thing I get in 45 long Colt is that Rossi Circuit Judge. And that does shoot 410. Yeah, I just thought about that.
Well, we apologize, Tack.
I've
We
always
s-
liked the revolver lever gun combo as well. I've got them in 357, 44, 45 Colt, and 4440.
That comment I just made to Tactical Fud and us talking about high points. I can't help it, man, and I try my best not to be, and I'm not compared to a lot of folks out there. But I'm telling you, we all got a little bit of gun snob in us, don't we? Be honest.
Yeah.
We all.
No, I don't. I do not have any kind of gun snob in me. If it works, I'm cool. That's it. That's the only snob I have.
I even like the Bracco Jennings 9. Come on.
I had a Jennings 9.
They think I got mine tuned up before I got rid of it.
Yeah, I tuned it up. It ran great. Did not have a problem with it. I think
And
I
it's
paid
also
like $89 for it
It's
at
the
a gun
easiest
show.
pistol to take apart.
They're picking on me in the side chat.
Good.
Get me a
You start racking the slide
4570
and lift up, and
revolver.
everything just falls out of it.
What got me interested in the gun was my friend had one. He put it back together with the sear backwards, so the slide wouldn't even go back. It wouldn't allow it to pass over the sear. So I made a tool to sneak in by that slide, and I dropped the deal, got the slide off, and rebuilt the gun for him.
Now, Tommy Boy said, I do. Smith & Wesson I will not own. Well, let me tell you what. Shoot my Smith & Wesson 10 millimeter 2.0.
Hey, CW, that picture come through for you?
Yeah, I sent it over to Jamie. I'm not
Oh,
able to
okay.
put it on.
There's Preacher. Hey, Preacher.
Some
You're
people's
just in
problem,
time.
Gene, with the Smith is their politics. I have the same thing with Springfield.
Preacher, your possum salt is good on beaver as well.
His possum salt's good on everything.
How would you know, Mark?
Huh?
How would you know?
Trust me.
So my father-in-law just bought a new Henry 357 lever, and I think I'm going to go. He told me to come pick it up tomorrow, and he said I could use it for a while. So I think I'm going to do a review on it. I've never done. Well, yeah, I did. I did a Henry 22 once.
Well, Chris, he's probably tired of it, and you won't like it, so I'll just meet you halfway.
Oh no, I'll love it. I may not be a revolver guy, but I love lever guns.
Try it with 38 specials for sure, as well as 357s. Mine is pretty picky when it comes to 38 specials. It's got to have a long nose, lead forward piece type bullet, or it won't feed. It'll double feed a short nose 38.
Well, he asked
Needs
me
work.
about it a while back, and I was like, I can't get 357 right now because I don't reload it. And then that new gun store I was talking about last night that I went into, he's got a ton of 357. So I thought, well, I'll go buy a couple boxes of 357 and a couple boxes of 38. Take it out, shoot a video, and have some fun with it.
Heck yeah, man, that'll be a lot of fun.
Just don't try the wad cutters. Get a good long nosed 38, and it should be fine. You could shoot the wad cutters. You just probably have to single load them.
Yeah.
6-shooter Tex and me and you need to get together and have a chat.
Chris, I have dies for 38 and 357 if you want to use them.
It's probably the first. This will probably be the first and last time I'll ever have a 357, though.
Oh no, it won't.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lever. I'm getting a 4570. I've had my heart set on one of them forever. Although Gene's 45 long Colt lever is a lot of fun to shoot, and you can shoot that thing fast, no recoil whatsoever.
So
Man, that's a
smooth.
dream right there.
Only
A Colt
thing I
and a
can
Winchester.
is if you do borrow somebody's mold, don't leave it on the back porch.
At Kyle's.
At least not in the rain.
Not in the rain.
I didn't know it was going to rain. I was going to use it again in the morning.
I do not, Preacher. T1X. I bet it's a tack driver, though. Most of what I'm seeing, Preacher, with guys that are wanting to shoot accurate 22 long rifle is they're going with that CZ bolt gun. But
Well,
yeah,
if you're thinking about buying a 22 anything, just watch Boomstick's channel. He's got every 22 made. He'll show you the ones that are accurate and the ones that aren't.
I'm just saying, Chris, if you spend a couple of 3 weeks with a 357 Magnum, then you'll have yourself a 686 and at least a Rossi lever action, and maybe even a 27 or a 19
Or a Black Hawk.
or a
I
Black Hawk.
can maybe see myself with the Chiappa.
Rhino?
Hey, I got one of those.
Those are they're so ugly they look good. You know what
I
I
know.
mean?
I think that's
Yeah.
probably why I like them. You know, you guys know I like ugly stuff.
I bet
Chris
they
is
Why
gonna
should.
you and I
start.
get along so well.
Chris is gonna start doing that cowboy action competition now.
That'd be, yeah, I don't know.
I think you'd look pretty awesome with a leather vest, a cowboy hat, and that big old beard sitting on a stagecoach. Got him a stoker up there.
And a
Yeah.
pair of shorts.
You look pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, a Colt's gun, lever action, revolver, 2 revolvers, even better. So 6 shooter Texan says 2 pistol and a rifle, $2,800. Glad I don't have a credit card. I'm telling you. Were the pistols Colts and was the rifle a Winchester? Anyway, we got to start getting off here, guys.
All right.
Preacher's Day Off says Ruger GP 100 357 Magnum.
It's a good one.
Those are nice.
Mm-hmm.
Those are nice. I like my Black Hawk. I like my Smith and Wessons.
SP 101, baby.
Another decent one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I got. The SP 101, I think.
I'm telling you, the trigger on that Black Hawk 44 Special is out of sight. That's a good gun.
It is stupendous.
Very old Smith and Wesson and 357, except for the registered Magnum. So that's what they called them at first. I think that was the big frame, wasn't it, Walter? CW.
I remember it, but I can't tell you for sure.
It's
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think it's pre-model 19. Anyway, we got to get out of here. Handle
Jamie?
a K38.
Do you
Yes.
care if I go first on the outros?
Absolutely. Go for
All right.
it.
Well, thank you for the invite. I had a great time. I love doing this show. It's always fun. I am going to go ahead and do a live chat at 11 o'clock. So I sent a link to Buck. He said he wanted to do it. I'm actually just going to throw a link out in the side chat. So if anybody wants to jump on, I think I got room for 10. We're only going to do an hour because I don't want to run over on G-Webs because he'll be going live at midnight. So I want to thank the side chat. Had a great time. And Wednesday night, we're going to be doing a live chat, 9 Eastern. And I got a lot of really cool guests coming on. We're going to have She-Fires on there, 2A We Stand, Range Bros TV's coming on, and it's going to be the first timers to SHOT Show. So this is going to be my first SHOT Show. And so we're just going to take questions from the side chat, what you guys want to see from SHOT Show. I'm going to try to cover some reloading stuff while I'm out there for you guys. So, yeah, thanks a lot, Jamie, and appreciate the invite.
Thanks for being here, buddy. We appreciate it. So I actually put out a video the same day Chris from the 740 did. How about that?
2 this week. You got 2 this week, Jamie.
Yeah, 2 good videos. I like content, Jamie. You got to keep putting it out. You're good at it.
I don't feel like it.
I
don't
we
feel
enjoy
like
it.
Sure do.
I got 2 or 3 more I want to do before I go back to work. Okay, Mock, what you got coming up this week, buddy?
Horrendous! I'm offended! I'm appalled! So what are we gonna do? What else? Email it to everybody we know. Good idea.
Good show, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back. I can't turn it off. Anyway, not much planned. Just trying to get out there and cast some bullets for a friend of mine and try and track down some more critters. Having fun with that deal. So Good seeing everybody. We'll catch up on another chat here in a few minutes. Have a little intermission, get some food, and join up with Chris. So, what you got going on, Mr. Ohio Gene?
Well, good luck on the beaver hunt there, Mock. Sorry, man. Couldn't help myself. Hey, thanks for having me on as usual. Really appreciate it. Man, just happy New Year's to everyone and have a great night.
Thanks for being here, Gene. We always appreciate you and your input and just fun times. Walter, what are you working on this coming week?
I've got a couple new molds that actually I've probably got 5 or 6 new molds that have been languishing in the mold cart. So I'm going to try to get out and get a little casting done. We got kind of a rainy week looking into us, but I think Monday I can do some casting. One of the new ones that I haven't used is another M&P mold. And so I think I'll break that out on Monday. I need to cast some more of that 6-shooter Texan 380 bullet that ran so well for me. I need to make 1,000,000 of those. So we'll be doing some casting here the first part of the week, and you know how it goes with YouTube. I'll have a little bit of what I'm doing on the YouTube, and the rest of it you'll have to go to the Rumble channel to see the actual casting on it. But that's where I'm at. Got the casting to do. Always fun.
Thanks for being here, man. Looking forward to it. I got to get over to Rumble. I got like 14 videos of sixes to watch. I got 3 or 4 of yours and about 3 of CW's. I think I've already saw all of CW's, but I'm not sure. So thanks for being here, Walter. We appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. I'm honored to be here amongst this illustrious group for sure. And Happy New Year to everybody over there in the side chat too.
And Happy New Year to you. I wouldn't say illustrious, more like lusterless.
I resemble that remark.
Me too. Tactical Bud, buddy, we are glad you came in with us tonight. You're welcome back anytime you want to join us. Good questions, good topics to discuss, and we hope you hope we answered something for you tonight.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the invite, and I learned a whole lot tonight. I want to say thank y'all, all of y'all. Really helped me out a whole lot. And I'll probably have some casting videos this weekend, just like Walter. I'm going to put part of them up on YouTube. The rest of them going to be on my Rumble channel. And after I cast some, I will send y'all some, though. I want y'all's honest opinion on them. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. They're not going to be size or powder coated. It's straight up bullet. And,
As cat.
and
Yes, cast.
yep. And I want y'all's honest opinion on, what I need to do and stuff like that. And
You're
like
not
what
gonna spray
Scotsman
the
said, there'll
parts
probably
out.
be more questions once I get started and going on.
There
Any
we
bullets that you do send out that are ass cast, you're not going to spray them with fart spray, are you?
I ain't spraying them with nothing.
Wise man. Thanks again for being here, Buck, and Happy New Year
Thank
to
you all,
you.
man, for letting me come in.
Oh, you're welcome anytime. Anytime you're free on Friday nights, just give me a call or a text, and we'll hook you up, bro.
Already, I appreciate it, Jamie.
Because after all, Arkansas ain't that far from Georgia, is it?
No, I got family lives in Georgia, so plan on going down that way sometime in the spring.
Well, call me before you get here. We'll try to meet up with you.
Hey, there's a few
Kyle, what?
places I like to go. Meet up with a couple
Cool.
people.
That'd be fun, man.
Go down there
Mr.
and show
Kyle.
Gene and Chris how to shoot.
Yeah, come teach me, brother. I know I need it. Kyle, you feeling a little better now, buddy?
I am feeling better, and I appreciate everybody. I didn't know if I was going to make it, but everybody put me in a little better mood. My stomach settled down a little bit. My back's still killing me, but it'll be all right. I want to wish everybody, even on the panel and in the side chat, a very happy new year. Y'all be safe. Don't do anything stupid, and go dogs.
Absolutely.
Go Bucks.
Mr. CW, our professor. Thanks, man.
Well, thank you. Always a good time. Always enjoy the company. All you guys are great. Side chat is always rocking and hopping. Just wanted to say Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope you had a great Christmas, and I hope you have a great and safe New Year's. And please don't drink and drive. And like I said in the beginning, remember all those who are doing their deal so that we can enjoy ours. They're not at home, and we can be. So give them
Amen.
some good thoughts and prayers. And I'll wish Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all you guys as well. And I'll see you all next year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for being here. I want to give y'all a quick update on our buddy Jason Stewart up in Ohio. Got a text from him today. I called him yesterday, and he really was sick. And Chris gave me a heads up Wednesday night, and Bud called me I think Tuesday and told me he was pretty bad sick, and I gave him a call the next day, and then he was texting me today, telling me thank you and all that kind of stuff. But he's already picking on me about the Georgia game, so I'm encouraged. I know he's getting to feel better, so we're excited about that. So y'all keep him in your prayers, and we hope the Lord blesses you all real good. And if He's willing, we'll see you next Friday night at 8 o'clock. Say good night, y'all.
God
Good night,
bless you all.
everyone.